260, okay?
If at any point you don't see this recording,
Or less.
call me.
Okay. I'll be honest. I'm probably not gonna look at it.
If you can look from time to time. Random times, like the random.
And then you got to eat with them things. Pretty much. She's like, baby, you want ice cream? I'm like, of course I want ice cream, but I was really good, damn it. Don't ask me this dumb question. You know I'm gonna fail. Like, who sent you?
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like this is what we have for now. So we'll go ahead and get started. A very intimate class, so please feel free to ask questions. I plan on being an open book today and just giving you everything that I do. Quick disclaimer, I'm not telling you guys what I do is the right way, but this is how I do things. I just want to give you guys my experience. So obviously we have the TCPA. Don't call anybody you're not supposed to call. You guys could go through and read that, but I did go over this, right? I did put it on the screen. So today we're going to be going over capturing open house leads. Has everybody in here done an open house or not yet? Yeah? Okay. You guys not yet? Still working on it? Okay. Looks like we have a couple people that are going to be trickling in right now. Okay. So today we're going to be going over capturing leads with open houses, open house best practices, prepare, prospect, pursue, recaps and ahas, and then our daily success system at the end. What's that on? Good morning, good morning. There's donuts here, ladies. Help yourself. And then also there's an open house flyer there as an example for you guys. So I have here a quote from Gary Keller. Can I get a volunteer to maybe read that for me?
Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the numbers of leads you have.
Right. So in this business, we're in a business where leads are everything. Without no leads, you have no business, right? Oh, there we go. Okay, so here are some limiting beliefs people have that, maybe haven't done an open house or are hesitant to do an open house. First one is I don't have a listing to hold open. Second one is I don't have signs yet. Third one is I may not know the answers to questions visitors have, so you're a little intimidated by maybe not knowing the property. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. That's just false. And I won't feel safe. So does anybody here have any other limiting beliefs? Is there anything preventing you guys from doing open houses on a consistent basis right now? Gotcha. Okay, so just schedule conflicts. Okay.
That's definitely my biggest thing is time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, because class eats up a lot of time.
Right.
But I think once that goes away, once we pass these few weeks, it'll be easier.
Easier to just get in the groove of things. Okay, that makes sense. What about this side of the room? Any limiting beliefs towards open houses? Anything that I said that stuck out to you guys? Say that again?
Most of them are leads.
Right. I agree. And for those of you that maybe haven't done an open house or don't do them as consistently, I'm going to go into really quickly what my strategy is to find an open house every week. Being in this office, there should be no excuse why you can't find an open house if you're looking to host one. Being a part of the biggest office out here, there's usually a ton of listings, right? So I'm going to show you what my process is and what I do to find open houses every week when I don't have my own listings to do. I don't have signs yet. That's one where if you find the open house and you communicate that with the listing agent, that's a pretty solvable problem. There's a lot of signs here, a lot of people willing to help that'll let you borrow signs. I may not know the answers to questions visitors have. That's not really an excuse to not do an open house. Only thing I can say is maybe prepare better so you feel more confident going into it. And it's okay to not know every answer to the question. I mean, the people that walk in understand that you don't live there at the home, right? So it's okay to not know all the answers, and it's okay to say, hey, let me check, and I'll get back to you. And then open houses really don't work. I just think that's just a crazy statement to me. They clearly do work. A lot of the top agents still do open houses consistently because they work, right? And the second one is the last one is I won't feel safe, especially for the ladies in the room. Obviously, you want to make sure you feel comfortable. What I would recommend is maybe doing an open house with another agent, just because as a man, I've had experiences where you get weirdos at the open house. And as a man, I've been uncomfortable. So I can only imagine it from a woman's perspective. I would say always have a partner, whether it's another realtor, that's cool too. I don't like to do that myself because it feels like you're being half as productive. What I mean by that is you do it with another agent, okay, every other lead is my lead. You get, and sometimes open houses are dead. You might get one, you might get two leads. So what I like to do is maybe have a lender there. Have a lender that way you guys aren't really competing for business. Or even somebody there. If you have a husband or a son, have him maybe dress up and just go hang out with you and just tell everybody, oh, hey, my wife, whoever it is, my mother's doing the open house. Ask her any questions. I'm just here to help. Just so you have that sense of peace. That's something that I would recommend because, yeah, there has been stories I've heard from other people feeling uncomfortable. And there's just a lot of weird people. So just make sure you guys feel safe and comfortable.
One of the weirdest ones you've had.
I'm trying to think. I know I had a really weird one, but I can't remember exactly what happened. Had a couple homeless people you could tell clearly are homeless come in, and it's kind of like a uncomfortable feeling, just because you're like you don't really know what they're doing there. Sometimes they just load up on your snacks and leave, right? Which I mean, you're not. I'm like, hey, they probably need it, right? So I don't really trip too much on that, but even like colleagues and stuff, I've heard stories of just people going in there and just giving you an uneasy feeling. So you just want to make sure you feel comfortable, and those are some things that I've learned to kind of make sure that you guys always feel comfortable.
Recently, I did one with Victoria,
Mm-hmm.
and it was funny. A couple came with the measuring tape. We asked them to sign in. He said, no, no, we don't want to sign. They measure every room, including the backyard.
Really?
And Victoria and I were like, wait, this
I
is
had someone like that too.
It has to be the same person because
I
there's
know.
no way.
That was girls and boys.
little kids, girls and boys.
Wait, what? Yeah.
Yes. And
It was probably the same day. They were probably just doing open houses that
No,
day.
because you did it last week.
no, it was like 2 weeks.
I did it this weekend. I thought
Same
it was
house?
too. No, it was
No?
not the same house.
Casey in the house. But it was crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
And they didn't sign in for either of you?
They said, "Oh, we already have an agent," and they just started measuring.
I was asking for the business card or their agents info.
So that's a really weird scenario. Obviously, I don't know what they're doing. I try to make everybody, even if they have an agent or not, that's totally fine. Cool. I still need you to sign in for me. Just because the homeowner, we need to make sure we're keeping track of everybody that comes through. So just please sign in. Actually, in a little bit, I'll kind of, towards the end, I'm going to go into my approach with sign-in sheets and what I think of them. And again, it's just my approach, my perspective. You guys do what makes you feel comfortable. Everybody has different strategies. I'm just here to tell you what my strategy is. And I'm not going to go like by the book. I'm going to tell you what I do and what works for me. Okay? Oh, really quickly, I do want to shift really quick because the people that say that they don't know how to find an open house, hold on. I want to show you what I do to find open houses, and it works every time. It doesn't not work. So everybody here is familiar with the MLS at this point, right? Or getting familiar. You guys have a login of some sort, right? So when you go to the MLS, there's these filters here. I scroll to the bottom and I go to add a field. And then I type in office. Because you can search for listings under a certain office. So I pick listing selling office. Right here, I type in Keller Williams, right? And then I hit find, and a bunch of offices are going to pop up, right? And I'm going to scroll. Once you do this enough, you kind of learn what our code is. Believe this one is us, 3361, this number right here. But for the longest time, I had to hover over each one until I said, okay, Keller Williams, Antelope Valley. That's the office we're a part of. So now you can see up here, it shows us our search results. There's 111 properties that are currently listed by Keller Williams agents in this office, right? So again, this is still my strategy that I use to find open houses to this day. You guys are gonna make my job harder if you guys implement this when I'm looking, but that's okay. So did you guys see what I did here? To see the results, I went to view results. And then what I do is sometimes I even add filters on this too, right? Like, hey, I wanna do West Lancaster, West Palmdale because that's the area I like to do, right? So you can add other filters, but for this, I'm just gonna kind of show you guys really quickly. So I view results, and then this is the current days on market. I sort ascending because I wanna see the freshest ones first, right? So these are all the newest listings that this office has to offer. And again, they're all agents within our office. So now what I do is I kind of go through and I kind of hand select the ones that I would like to do. And then what I do is I'll go down the list and I'll reach out to Edwin. Hey, Edwin, when I was new, I'm a newer agent. I see your listing over here. I'd love to do an open house. Let me know. And I would go down until finally somebody says yes. You have 111 options. You'll find somebody. Another thing that is very important is to not only, obviously we're in the relationship business, right? So it's not about just making relationships with your clients. You want to make relationships with people in your office because if you do this consistently, especially for some of the top agents, like when I was new, I was constantly doing open houses for John Silva, Ileana Dominguez, people that were very listing heavy because they can't do them all themselves. And eventually what happens is you build that relationship, you build that trust. Make sure you text them after, hey, open house went great. I had 4 families come through. 1's interested, 2 with an agent. Because what happens is once you earn that trust with them, there's times where maybe you forgot to schedule an open house this week, and they're calling you on Thursday saying, hey, I have an open house. I need somebody to do it. But they'll start to give you first dibs. Hey, I have this listing that just hit the market. It's going to be hot. I'm putting it on the market today, and today's Thursday. So we're going to put it in. We need somebody to do the open house. And that's how you kind of work your way up into getting better open houses. So everybody clear on that? Everybody knows how to find open houses now?
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That was an aha moment for me.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Okay, so open houses. Who benefits from open houses? It's obviously telling us sellers, buyers, neighbors, and obviously us as the agent benefit from open houses, right? Obviously, sellers benefit because their house is being displayed that they're trying to sell. Buyers benefit because they get to take a look and tour the home in person, whether they have an agent or whether they don't. The neighbors benefit because open houses, in my opinion, it gives you like 3 or 4 different ways to lead generate. So you don't just lead generate at the open house. Me, when I do open houses and I have listings, I typically like to door knock at least 100 doors the week leading up to it. So if I'm doing an open house on Saturday, I typically do Saturday 12 to 3. That's the time that works for me. I like to try to take Sunday off now. The beginning of my career, it was Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 4, like clockwork, right? Eventually, I kind of got burnt out of that and got away from it because I was overcomplicating my open houses. Now I've simplified them in a way that works for me, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring. This is what my open house setup looks like. Typically, sometimes not even the donuts. I'm just being transparent. Sometimes I just bring my flyers, my speaker. This is the speaker that I had playing earlier. This speaker I think is $30. I highly recommend it. The speaker gets really loud, so it can play through the entire house. And I try to set it up somewhere where music kind of flows throughout the house, right? So it's not so loud when I want to have a conversation, but if you're upstairs, you could still kind of maybe hear it. But I keep my open house as simple. Before I used to bring a table, and I would fold out a table, tablecloth, chairs, bring snacks, set up a snack station, bring waters, and that's not really my personality type. Like I'm not very good at making things look cute and doing all like the presentation stuff. And I think after a while that tired me out from doing it. If you guys like doing that stuff, awesome, great. I found out that this works for me. I'll bring a box of donuts because that doesn't take much prep work. I stop, pick up the box of donuts. Sometimes when I have a listing that's just brand new, I will, when I door knock the neighbors, say, hey, I'm gonna have donuts and I'm gonna have coffee. So I'll stop by a local donut shop, just get, all you'll ever need is 1 box of donuts. 2 is gonna be too much. Sometimes you could even get away with a half dozen because most people, it's just there to like lighten it's there to bring down their wall. A lot of people end up saying no anyways, right? But it is also a good way to try to connect with them, especially if they have kids. I always go, hey, mom, dad, I have some donuts. Is it okay if, and usually the kid looks up, and that's kind of how I get the conversation started. So this is what my setup looks like. Again, just flyers, no business cards. I'll get into that later. And then donuts, it's very simple. And again, it works for me. There's other people that go all out. And again, they have stations. They bring all different kinds of stuff. And I think that's a great idea. But if you are going to do that kind of stuff and go overboard, I say take the next level and at the very least door knock and invite people, let them know, hey, because you don't want to set it up, nobody shows up. And that's one thing about open houses is I've had open houses where I've door knocked and I've cold called, I've promoted it on social media. I show up to the open house, I'm there for a couple hours and nobody shows up. And that's just the name of the game. Open houses are going to be very hot and very cold. It's not always something that you did wrong. Sometimes that's just the name of the game. What I've learned is the weather plays a role. When it's really cold and windy, your signs are going to get knocked down. And for some reason, even if your signs don't get knocked down, traffic's slower. So don't take that. That's part of the game. Don't take it to heart. I've also had open houses where I've done nothing. I'm running late and I show up and there's 4 families outside. And I'm like, the one time I'm running late, I have a full house and I didn't do door knocking. So it's very important to not let that aspect affect your mentality towards it. Just keep doing it. But that's why I say if you do the other steps leading up to an open house, even if the open house sucks, nobody shows up, you can still say, hey, I talked to 20 of the neighbors. One of them actually might be considering selling and I got their phone number. You know what I mean? That's where it's at. Another thing, especially towards new agents, promoting it on social media is super important. And the reason I say this is because I didn't realize, and I'm not the best at doing it anymore anyway, myself. I'm not a big social media person at all. But when I first got started, and I was doing the open houses Saturday and Sunday. Every week I would post. If you looked at my page at that time, that's all I would post because I didn't have any listings. I didn't have any client reviews. I didn't have anything, right? So I'm trying to get started in this business. All I had was open houses. So every week I'd post open house flyer on Saturday. Not on Saturday. I'd say open house is going to be hosted on Saturday. Here's the house. Post it probably on Thursday or Friday. And then the next day, if I was doing two and there were different houses, let me take a step back. If I was doing two open houses, sometimes it was the same house. A lot of times it was. Sometimes it was a different house on Saturday, a different house on Sunday. If it was the same house, I'd make a post, say Saturday and Sunday open house, 12 to 3 both days, come by, snacks, refreshments, make it a social media post. If it was a different one, I'd probably post one on Thursday. This is what I'm doing Saturday. And then the next day, I'm doing this one on Sunday. And I didn't realize how important that was. And don't get me wrong, I never got business from that. At least when I was just starting it. Nobody ever came up and said, hey, I seen your flyer on Instagram. I want to buy a house because I seen it on there. And that's why I'm here. How it worked is it worked with my sphere. And what I mean by that is people that maybe I don't talk to every day, people that, for example, one of my dad's coworkers went up to him and was like, hey, I see your son is killing in real estate. Like he just started, like that's awesome. And my dad's like, oh, thanks. Like, what are you referring to? The consumer doesn't understand what open houses are. So to us as agents, so he thought every week I was selling 2 houses, right? So to me, I mean, don't you want people to feel like, okay, they're doing it. They see an open house as a level of success that you're already achieving. So post it, promote it. And again, you might not get a financial aspect out of it right away, but it's things like that. When you go to Thanksgiving dinner, when you go to a family party, a barbecue, people are going to ask about it because they see you've been consistent with posting it. So that was a huge aha moment for me. You guys have any questions or comments about any of that stuff? Anybody have a similar experience?
You start,
Yeah.
advertising your open house from starting when? If you do it on Saturday, you're doing the 7-day or from Monday, for example?
So like what my open house strategy looks like?
Prospecting and advertising and all that since Monday.
So
Every day something?
we're going to get into that in a little bit. And the curriculum is going to tell you, start Monday. I typically don't. Honestly, the reason I don't on Monday is, Monday I'm typically, I don't know if the camera, oh no, that's not me. So Monday I'm typically following up with open house leads and doing other things. But also I like to wait a little bit later in the week because most listing agents like to list their homes on Thursday and Friday. That way they're very hot for the open house. So I try to wait till Thursday to find my open house, try to find it. When I have my week planned out, Thursday morning, I'm looking for an open house. Once I find one, I make my flyers really quick and I go door knock. From there, I try to do all my marketing for the open house that day. So Thursday, I'll even make the social media post. And now it's different. I have a different template for when I post open houses. And again, I don't post them as consistently as I should anymore. But do what I say, not as I do. So, but I have a different post, right? So I'll make the flyer or whatever. And if I run out of time and I don't have a social media post for my open house, I just get a PDF version of my flyer and post it, and then make sure to post it on your story as well the day of to remind people.
Question. The flyer is for a house that you're hosting for someone else or for your own listing that you're hosting?
So that flyer that you have there the answer is both. That is my listing. So if you guys have a buyer, please bring it. Just did a $20,000 price reduction. But yeah, you want to make a flyer for the open house that you're doing. And if it's somebody else's listing, they know that you're going to do that. Once they give you that permission to do the open house, they know, okay, he's going to make flyers. He's probably going to they're giving you kind of the green light to go ahead and market my property, because the listing agent is going to get paid when it gets sold. If somebody in the office could bring them a buyer as somebody that has listed homes before, I mean, even better, right? Like I know them. If I have a question, we have a concern, I can probably run into them at the office. It's easier. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
So there's no stupid questions, just stupid people.
No, there's no stupid questions.
What is an open house, and how do you explain what it is to a prospective buyer or seller or a client like that?
Okay, that's a good question.
Sorry, I'm starting from zero.
No. I was right there in your shoes. Trust me, I really was. I got into business at 18. I didn't know anything. I was taking the real estate classes, and I'm like, mortgage, taxes, like this is all new. This is a whole new language. So I had no like life experience. I've never owned a home. I've none of that's ever been. So I get exactly where you're coming from. And what an open house is it's essentially what it sounds like. You're holding the house open. You're hosting it so that prospective buyers, people that may be interested or whatever, can come and just preview the home. And the misconception about it, let me see. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm not. So the misconception about it, at least for me when I started, is I thought when I was doing an open house, I was trying to get that house sold. Don't get me wrong, that'd be great. That's obviously that'd be nice, but that's really not the case. When you're doing an open house as an agent, your goal is to win the trust of the people that are walking in, so that way you can help them buy the house, buy a house. And one of the ways I earn trust with them is I'm completely honest with them. Like I will tell them, like sometimes, again, I'm not telling you this is the right way to do it, but this is what I do. I will point out flaws in the house, and I'll be like, oh, hey, what do you think about the kitchen? And before they say, oh, that cabinet's taken, I'll be like, yeah, we need to get that cabinet fixed, right? And what I feel like it does is it helps earn their trust, because the consumer doesn't understand that we don't care if they buy that house. We just want to earn their business. So when they don't know that, they're going in like, oh, they're keeping it real with me, right? I've had conversations about, yeah, I think this house is a little bit overpriced, honestly. I've seen the neighbor's house sell for much cheaper. Those are things that I do to try to win over their trust, because at the end of the day, you just want to earn their trust to help them buy a home. And the truth of the matter is a lot of times the buyers that are coming to the open houses that you're going to convert, everybody that's an agent is going to convert, you have the best chances when they're just starting, in my opinion, when they haven't talked to a lender yet, when they haven't talked to an agent. Once they come in and they're already pre-approved, that usually tells me, okay, they've talked to an agent before. Whether they're happy or not, still follow up with them, because I've been known to, I kind of pride myself on it. It is what it is. I like to steal clients. I try to I don't try to steal anybody that, if I know you or you're somebody in the office, to me, I'm not going to mess with that, right? Now, what I do mean by that is sometimes agents don't do their job. So you're kind of doing a disservice, even though they're not your client, by not following up with them. I've had so many people, I'll give you a quick example. So a couple months ago, I did an open house, made a really, really good connection with this young couple. I could tell that the husband didn't even speak English, right? He was from the Dominican Republic. His English was he didn't speak English. We're communicating to the wife, but I could tell that even though I couldn't speak to him directly, like we had a connection, right? I was actually supposed to show them a house after the open house. That's something I'll get into in a little bit, another strategy that I use. But essentially, their agent told them, because a lot of the people that come to your open house are going to be people from the Valley, from LA, San Fernando, that have agents out there, but they're out here doing their own open house shopping on the weekend because their agents are too lazy to come out here. And when you're in this business long enough, that becomes very frustrating. It gets frustrating when you have other agents coming into your market. For one, I don't know, it's like a pride thing. But at the very least, if you're going to do it, be there with your client. I will go, if I'm going to represent you, I have like an hour and a half to 2 hour radius, right? I'll go as far as Bakersfield, I'll go to LA, but I'm going to be there. And I feel like you owe that to your client. So back to this example, the agent got them pre-approved and said, hey, go open house shop. When you find the house, call me and I'll write the offer. And I told them, I'm like, you're not really getting the full experience. Like, some houses don't even do open houses. Some sellers don't want them. So you're telling me that your buyer doesn't get access to seeing those? Or what if they're not doing an open house that weekend? And sometimes, what if the client is busy, right? Can't see the open house that weekend and the house sells during the week, right? So I always tell people when I know that they're working with an out-of-area agent, this is my go-to line. I don't know if it's politically correct. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. But I always say, here's why I think working with a local agent makes more sense. And it doesn't have to be me. I say that multiple times. Seriously, it doesn't have to be me. The reason it makes sense to work with a local agent is, what if the home sells quickly and your agent can't make it out here? I want to make sure, I check the MLS every day to make sure that when properties match your criteria, I want us to be the first ones seeing it. And I'll go, the average days on market right now is between 65 and 70, which is still historically pretty quickly, right? And if a home is priced right, it's selling quick. So what that means is I want us to get into it first, right? So if I'm a local agent, I live 5 minutes from the house, I can show it to you. Oh, you live in the valley, you can only make it up on the weekends? Great, I'll FaceTime you. That way you at least get a visual of the property, right? And it's value that you can add that their agent isn't. And I think that's, I mean, if the agent's there, obviously don't even have them sign in, respect whatever the agent's doing their job. But if they're there by themselves, sometimes there is an exception, right? Sometimes the agent has to go out of town, whatever the case is, right? But a lot of times when it's laziness, it's like the home buying process, especially for a first-time home buyer, to me is special, right? It's a special moment. I want to make it an experience for them. I want to bond with them. I want like it's really like romantic in a way, right? Like, and for the clients to not really get that experience, it's like, I don't know, it's not the way I run my business, and I think our clients deserve better.
And I hate to say it, but you're paying that agent
Right.
for that service.
Absolutely.
You're not going for that hour drive or
Right.
2 hour drive to take you and walk you through that home. But they're getting paid for that service.
100%. 100%. And not only that, but it's on the weekend, so coming this way, there's going to be no traffic, right? So it's a 45-minute drive. So it's just it's laziness, but that's what I do to try to steal. I try to steal as many of those clients as I possibly can.
Yeah, because like you said, oh, sorry. That right now, I actually did an open house like the first week of
Mhm.
January. It was pouring, it was raining, and a lot of people showed up still.
Right.
And some of them already were pre-approved, and they were like, "Oh, it's just my agent is not from here," and I just follow up with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they're already pre-approved, they're more ready than someone that, oh, I'm just looking.
Hundred
It's a
percent.
little harder like
It,
that.
it's harder because you know that they've already started that process with somebody else, but you can still steal them if they're not doing their job. And what I try to do is I try to lead with my value and not talk down on their agent when that's why I tell them I'll FaceTime you and I'll show you the home. Whatever the case is, like I'm local. If you guys wanted to come out here after work one day because you've seen a house that you really liked, I'll make myself available. Like it's easy for me. So I try to lead with the value. And then I also tell them like, also it's easier to get your offer accepted when you know all the agents in the valley. And again, I'll conclude with it doesn't have to be me, but I strongly suggest you work with somebody local. And then I kind of change the subject and go back to trying to earn their trust a different way.
How does it work when you're showing someone else's listing and say the agent brings a buyer, like a outside agent brings a buyer?
To the open house?
Yeah.
So if you're hosting an open house and somebody walks in with their agent should just give you their business card and they're going to take them around and show them around. I might communicate with the agent a little bit. I might tell their clients, hey, I have donuts here for your clients. Please help yourself. Upstairs, you'll find 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, whatever. But I let the agent do their job and I back off because the agent's doing their job. That's what the agent's there for. Some agents, they don't want you to they get protective, right? So you just kind of respect it. Oh, hey, how's it going? Acknowledge them. Do you have your business card? Okay, cool. I'll take that. And then greet them and let them, and
So say they want to put an offer in.
Mhm. They're going to go with their agent.
That's what I'm saying. If they go with their agent, they put an offer in on a listing you're showing.
Mhm.
Where does that leave you?
So the only way you don't get anything.
Okay.
That's the name of the game.
Okay.
The name of the game is you're going there to find leads. Once you find those leads, you have to convert them into a purchase contract, right? That's the only way you get paid. Doing the open house, the agent's doing you a favor. You're kind of doing them a favor, but you don't get no monetary, nothing out of it. Only way you do is when you close an escrow.
Okay, it's just more to get leads.
Exactly. That's the only reason. Did you have a question or comment?
I was gonna say, if they walk in with that agent,
Mhm.
Is that okay for you to handle the flyers, or you're not supposed to do it?
I typically don't. Even when people walk into my open house, I typically don't even hand them flyers. I let them make that decision. Um, Sometimes you'll see the agent pick up a flyer, or sometimes you'll see the client pick up the flyer, and I just let them kind of figure that out. I don't want to overstep, and I try to be very respectful, even though I just said I like to steal clients. I like to steal clients that aren't being practiced
They're
on
not being
properly.
represented.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I have that feeling because it has my information, and it feels like
If the client takes that's why I let the client or the agent do it, because if they take it, that's their decision. I did nothing to, I didn't try to do anything slimy or shady.
But sometimes to like you're saying, if you're providing a service, if you're gonna show them the house, you should have a flyer
Mhm.
with their information, with all the information on about the property.
Mhm.
And I've had agents ask me, "Oh, how many rooms or whatever," and
Right.
I'll let them know. But yeah, the same. Like I try not to, like
Right. You want them to
There's so
feel
many
comfortable.
people.
You want them to feel welcome.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
And then, sorry, just because
No,
you're
no.
newer, the lenders too. Sometimes they will print out some flyers for you guys, so you could just let them know, and they could print out. I think 25. That's what Brad prints out, so you guys don't have to pay for them because every time you print out color flyers, you have to pay. What is it?
I
28
think
cents.
I think it's 30 cents a copy.
30 cents.
But if you do front and back like me, it's 60 cents now a copy. So
Oh, really?
I believe so.
What happened?
So I believe, don't quote me on this, it's 30 cents for a copy when you do color, but if you do double sided, it's double that. It's, I believe, 60 cents because you're doing.
Because I think that where I got when I started, so I got
You got the
confused.
first office bill.
100, yeah, because they told me 100 flyers, so I printed out like
Oh
that
wow.
month. I printed out a bunch. Next thing you know, I got like $200 bills. I was like,
You're
wait
like,
a
all right,
minute,
real estate.
I
This is
haven't
crazy.
sold anything.
If you get an HP from Costco or anywhere, seriously, get your small HP for your own home, print your own flyers. You can actually go to HP and online, and you pay a monthly fee. I pay $15.99 a month.
15?
$15.99
Oh.
I pay a month,
Mhm.
and they send me my cartridges even before it empties, and I can make 300 copies.
Oh wow.
Okay, see, this is my printer's really expensive.
Yeah.
I already have it, so I'm not like a good. Because
Yeah.
each cartridge, like the packet, is like $200.
Yeah.
And
See, that's
I can't print out
not
that
good for
many.
business.
Yeah, that's one of
So
my.
that's why I went with it, because
That's
I felt
smart.
it was good for business. I can run my contracts from home. I can get it all from home.
That makes sense. And then,
So,
really quick, last thing I'm going to touch on with the flyers. When I'm doing an open house, I typically bring 15 to 20 double-sided color flyers. And then, pro tip: if you are going to do door knocking for the open house, I built a template where I do 2 on 1 paper, and I cut them in half to save expense. And then, not only that, but I just feel like you're giving somebody a huge sheet when you're knocking on the door. Like, to me, it just makes sense now. At first, it was to cut costs and anywhere I could, but now I just like it and it makes sense. So however you guys want to do it, but that's something that I do.
I was just telling somebody that yesterday at one of the meetings yesterday. I was telling her that.
Yeah.
Just either do fourths or half.
I've never done the fourths. I like the half sheet, and then we have a paper slicer. So you put 5 to 10 and you cut them, and then that's how you kind of save. Yeah, not for the open house. For the open house, I think full flyer is minimum, right? But if you're door knocking, something they're probably gonna throw out, you just need an excuse to knock on their door. Half flyer should do. Okay, now we're gonna get into the best practices, which we've kind of already started to do. Be purposeful, not entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial. I think I'm saying that right. And that's kind of with everything in this business. It's kind of like you want to make sure that everything you're doing has a rhyme or reason. You kind of want to strategize your open house before you actually show up and do it, especially when you're new to doing open houses, right? You want to make sure you know what you're going to say. You want to make sure I kind of have a script. Every time somebody walks in, I have a very similar kind of greeting, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I think there's a section where it talks about that. So that's when I'll kind of go over that, and I'll tell you guys exactly what I do and what I say and what works for me. Also, for those of you that just came in, I have donuts up here. Please help yourself. Also, there's a flyer, the flyers that I use for my open houses. Take an example. That way, you guys can make your own flyer or whatnot, but that's just what I use. So when you're doing an open house, first you want to pick the house. I kind of showed you guys how to do that. Obviously, it's best, like I said, to do newer ones because those are the ones that are typically going to have the most traffic, or do ones that have recently just done a price reduction. Those are going to be the 2 hottest categories. The other thing is location. I like to make sure that mine is close to the freeway. I don't like to do any in like rural areas, for example. Like Antelope Acres, there's beautiful homes out there, and don't get me wrong, I will do open houses out there. But just know that you're looking for 1 or 2 people, so you have to really you have to really focus on converting those. Yeah, location I think is going to be the second biggest thing after days on market. But don't get me wrong, you could go do one in a rural area and have a huge, amazing open house if it's priced right and if it's fresh on the market. So there's different factors you got to look at to just maximize your time and maximize your exposure, I guess, that you get from it.
I have a question.
Go for it.
In the last couple of months, I've done 2 open houses.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them, because I didn't do my work, I realized too late that both houses had been listed way above
Mm-hmm.
cost.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had nobody there. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking at the property, looking at the comps
Mm-hmm.
before I even pick the open house.
That's
Once I saw that location, because I figured, and then of course I call the listing agent and say, I would like to do this open house, but it looks like the price is a little above what the value is.
mm-hmm.
And see if there is, if I say, well, we have a price reduction or something like that, then I have some information to provide as well, and then you could negotiate the price, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
you know,
So what Claire is saying is sometimes she will, when she does an open house, the last couple ones she's done, she hasn't had a good turnout because she realized they're overpriced. I wouldn't recommend what she said she does. I wouldn't call the agent, especially as new agents, and say, "Hey, you overpriced this one." You know what I mean? Especially that's not going to build that good relationship with them. But it is a good thing to take into consideration the price, make sure it's priced right. But going back for those of you that are like just walked in the beginning, I said sometimes that's a good. If you get traffic, sometimes it's still a good opportunity to win their trust because they'll ask you sometimes, "Hey, what do you think about the price?" That's why I go between me and you. I think it's a little overpriced, honestly.
Well,
And
I won't tell the listing agent, hey, it's overpriced.
yeah,
I'll say, I just wanted to know, is there any opportunity that you're going to be having a reduction on the price anytime soon, particularly if the property has been on the market for quite a while.
right, right.
So, but, I won't tell them, well, you got it overpriced, but,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they'll volunteer that and say, well,
Yeah,
I
sometimes they
know
will.
that it's overpriced, but.
Right. And when you're in one of those situations where you know the property's overpriced, don't be a slimy salesman. That's the consumer walking in thinks, oh, this guy's gonna try and sell me on this house. So once you break that wall down and you say, hey, actually, I think it's a little bit overpriced as well. What are you looking for? Are you looking for 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? What's your price range look like? And just try to shift the conversation into what they're looking for and what they want. Another question I always ask people as I go, what do you like about the house? They tell me, oh, okay, I like this. Is this kind of what you're looking for? And they'll tell me yes, no, whatever the case is. I go, what don't you like about the house? And they always, the couples always look at each other and like they don't want to say something, but they do. And that's when I go, you could be completely honest with me. It doesn't matter to me if it's this house or not. I want to find you the house that you love. And in order to do that, I need to know what you guys like and what you don't like. And that's another thing that I try to do to just earn their trust and get them to open up. And then you're building rapport there because now they go, okay, that color in that room, I would have never painted it that way. I go, yeah, me neither, right? But what do you think about the floor plan? And then, try to shift it and just build that relationship with them. One thing about the open houses that I've kind of shifted my mindset the last year around, and it's worked for me, is I'm not going to the open house to capture leads. I'm going to try to make friends. And when you go into that with that mentality of when people leave and you didn't set the appointment and you're mad, no, like just have a good conversation with them. Try to relate with them. I'm a sports guy, so anytime I see somebody wearing any type of sports hat, maybe I'm, hey, good game, or I'm like, oh man, you're not welcome here, right? You can't wear a Raiders hat in my open house, right? Just little things like that to kind of build rapport with them. And then, that's kind of like what I do. That's my strategy is just try to make friends with them, try to build that relationship with them as best as you can. You have a really small window to do it. So try not to be too invasive. Ask a lot of questions about the house. And then if they want to give you more and they want to start talking about, oh, we just came from his baseball game, the little one, right? Oh, cool. How long have you been playing baseball? And then talk to the little man. Who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite player? Do things like that. I don't have kids. I'm sure some of you guys do, but you guys know that the way to their hearts through their kids. So once you show them that you're interacting with them and caring with them, it also helps lower their wall down. Prepare and practice. Consider inviting a speaker such as an inspector or a lender. Now, I wouldn't have an inspector there. I don't really see the purpose of doing that, but I definitely would recommend having a lender there, especially when you have a lot of traffic. Sometimes you're going to have open houses where you're overwhelmed. There's 10, 15 people there. And you're like, whoa, what's going on? Or sometimes you have a slow open house, but you get a surge. And 30 minutes, everybody wants to show up. You have a lender there, you can kind of bounce off of each other to make sure everybody's getting the attention they deserve. Not only that, but having somebody there with you also helps the time go by. What I mean by that is sometimes if you're there for 3 or 4 hours and nobody shows up, it's pretty boring and it's pretty discouraging when you leave. You're like, wasted my time. I wish I would have, I had plans, but I canceled them because I wanted to be disciplined and do an open house. When you have somebody there, the time just moves faster. And then if you have a lender, you guys can even strategize about, okay, what are we going to do so next week's open house is better? Or what programs can we come up with? What advice? Just bounce off of each other and help each other grow.
Right. Well, I mean, from my perspective, I'm also pretty new. I
Mhm.
just started
100%.
That way I could at least post something. I particularly, I also don't like to post too much, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to because
You
I'm
got
like,
you got to try.
yeah, because like you said, I have a couple family members that are like, oh, I didn't know you were doing real estate. Like I'm
Mhm.
thinking my daughter's thinking of buying, so it
Exactly.
it kind of keeps you at top of mind, like they say.
Yeah, and I would say always be prepared for. Obviously, you want to wish for the best and hope that every open house is going to be amazing, but also kind of prepare for if it's not. You can do a bunch of other things. You can do follow ups. One of the things I really like to do is when you get an open house lead and you follow up with them during the week and you can't get a hold of them, I like to call them if the open house is dead during my next week's open house because you can invite them to come back. Hey, I'm doing another one. Love to come see you. But the reason I call them again is because I know that that's to me that I know that that's when they're available because they were just at my open house last week, right? So they're probably out doing the same thing this week. So that's another opportunity. Make sure you have something to kind of keep yourself busy. You can stay productive in the hours where there's nobody there, right? So that way it's not a complete loss. Pick the time and theme. So this says Thursday night happy hour. I've never done one of those. Wine and cheese open house. I don't know if we're allowed to because of the alcohol. I personally have stayed away from it. I'd love to do like open house with mimosas and all that kind of thing, but I haven't because I don't think you're allowed to have alcohol. Say that again?
Martinelli.
Right, Martinelli's. I thought about having like I'm not gonna serve it, but I'll have like a picture that says like adult orange juice. You know what I mean? And be like, hey, they served it to themselves, but I'd rather not lose my license. So
I wanted to do that too, like 'cause I had one in Santa Clarita and it was a nice home, but at the same I was like, I don't know if we're allowed to, so I'd rather not.
yeah, I think you're not allowed to serve alcohol. Some people do, and they don't care. To each their own. I'm not really willing to take that big of a risk. I like to take risks, but not when it comes to my career, right? Thursday night happy hour. So typically for us, our open houses are Saturday and Sunday out here, but that doesn't mean that's when it has to be. Like earlier, you two mentioned that you guys have scheduling conflicts. I've done open houses on Friday between like after school hours. Like I'd like to start between like 2 and 6 maybe. Um, I've done that as well. That way you don't have an excuse of your schedule. You know, it's I'm still getting one in a week, and you will get leads that way. Like people still do come in after work. People come in picking up their kids from school. When I do open house during the week, I like to try and be as close to school as possible. And what I've noticed too is I had one experience where the listing was clearly overpriced and on the market for a long time, like what Clara said. But for some reason, they kept asking me to do it. There was an agent, he's like, can you do it? So I kept doing it on Friday because I learned that if I'm here on Friday at the office, I'm probably just gonna end up hanging out anyway, right? So I was trying to get away from the office. I'm like, okay, I'll go do an open house. And what I found out is I was getting constant traffic at that house. Every week I'd get probably 2 or 3 people. And I built a lot of trust because I would tell them, yeah, this house has been on the market for a long time. Probably needs a price reduction. And I would just be honest with them. And to me, like, even though it was a Friday, it wasn't my ideal open house. I was still getting good leads from it. So find out what works. Sometimes houses are just like that. So also don't, do one during the week. Some people do them on Monday, on Thursday. George, my mentor, he used to tell me, go find a vacant house and make it your office for the week. Set up an open house. You're going to be here at the office from 9 to 5. Okay, we'll go do that at an open house. You bring your laptop, set up, get comfortable. And now you're doing the same thing you're doing, right? You don't have to pay for an office space, which is a plus. But also, you have the opportunity of people to walk in and say, hey, I want to buy this house. And you're kind of 2 birds with 1 stone. If you're a new agent, I think that's a brilliant idea.
As far as data collection, like I was thinking about getting like an iPad where they can sign in, do that whole thing. Is there a specific program or something that
So
you're aware of?
there are programs. I don't know any off the top of my head. A lot of people go with the standard sign-in sheet. You can meet with a title rep. They'll give you a sign-in book. You can make your own sign-in sheet. I think we're going to get into that in just a second, actually. So I'm going to take a deeper dive because my opinion on sign-in sheets is probably different from everybody else's. So I'll get into my perspective, and then you guys kind of figure out what you guys want to do and what works for you. So some of the stuff we've already talked about in terms of safety, use the buddy system, right? Especially for us, not us ladies, right? That's crazy. But for you ladies, make sure you guys have somebody, right? And then arrive early. I like to arrive typically. I used to, when I was new, an hour early, set up, and that's because I was overcomplicating it for me. Now that I keep it simple, I'll show up 30 minutes before, set up my signs, walk in 10 minutes before, put the box of donuts, put my flyers, turn on my speaker, turn on all the lights, open up all the windows, make the house look as presentable as possible, and then I'm ready to go. Check all entrances and exits. This is very important, especially when you're closing up. You want to make sure you lock every door, make sure every window, just because I haven't ran into this problem, but I've always had this weird superstition that somebody's going to come in and just pop a window open just so they can come back in later. So really make sure you go through the house and you lock up properly.
I've had it happen.
Yeah. Actually, my first open house that I did on my own, me and another agent, we'd used the buddy system. We were new, so we overcomplicated. We brought a table, we brought an ice chest, we brought drinks, we brought snacks. We spent an hour setting up, making this presentation, right? I don't even think many people came to that open house, right? Which is a good learning moment. But I get a call from the listing agent like 3 hours later. And it was a rougher neighborhood, right? But he goes, hey, did you lock up? I'm like, yeah, no, we locked up. I put the keys back, like make sure everything was locked. Somebody broke into that house hours after the open house. Broke the window, got into the house, and we're attempting to squat in the property. Luckily, the neighbor called the listing agent and he was able to take care of it. But that's why it's very important that you lock up, because you're trying to build those relationships with the listing agents, like I said. And if you're creating problems or not locking up properly and now they have this issue, they're probably not going to be so enticed to give you another open house. They said make sure cell phone is fully charged. Obviously, I feel like that's a given, right? You want to make sure you have your phone on you at all times. Turn on the lights. Check local COVID guidelines. Good luck with that. I don't know who's still doing that, but if you are still concerned, obviously to each his own. Any ahas? Okay, I got to do better. That's all that means. What about Zoom? Any questions, ahas, anything?
Just got to be prepared and early.
Yeah.
You know, not at the last minute. And as far as closing and, closing the doors and all that stuff, there was a couple of times where I went through the house, I checked it out, and by the time I got to the corner, I thought, did I lock such and such door? I mean, it
Go
just
back.
got in. I went back and it was locked.
Right.
But it was just that little voice.
You want that peace of
said,
mind.
"You
Absolutely.
didn't."
Star, did you have something?
I did. With my open house, my office. I love that to just be in all day or however long you need to be
Yeah.
in the office. So I love that.
You know, I don't think I've done it with that intention, but definitely something that's a good idea if you're, I mean, here we have the open space, not the cubicles, we have the open space where you can come in and work, right, which is great. And I think if you're brand new, maybe do that for a couple months, because just being in this environment helped me, especially like, new guys that, hey, what's an open house, right? I was there. But being in the office, overhearing, ear hustling, hearing the conversation, it helped me learn the language faster, if you will. So I would try that for a couple months. Once you kind of got the hang of things, then maybe go and try that, just so that way, again, you have your own privacy now. You can work in peace, and you get the chance for leads to walk in. Go ahead.
Are you allowed to bring somebody with you, like to feel safe, that is not licensed, as long as they don't answer for, any
Right.
real estate question? Is that allowed, or?
So I would say yeah. I kind of mentioned before, I think you walked in. For the women in the room, I would make sure to, maybe if you have a spouse or if you have a son, whoever, just, hey, come hang out with me. Maybe have them dress up nice and just have them say, oh, hey, my wife is doing the open house. Feel free to ask her any questions. I'm just here to help out. But don't want them talking about the property too much, because they're not licensed to do so. Refer to you, but that way you just have that presence with you. And I do see I'm getting comments on Zoom, but I cannot see, so I can't hear you, but I can't see. Good question. How many open houses did you do till you got your first buyer? Did you get any seller from? Okay, great questions. I think Carla, and then actually, can I have a reader back there whenever anything pops up? Can somebody? You can see that? Okay, good.
First question is, how long did it take to get your first client from open houses?
Okay, so that one I would say probably about 4 to 5 months in the business. But I was doing open houses, like I said, like when I first got in, it was 5 days a week at the office. I didn't even know what I was doing here at the office, honestly. Like sometimes it would be socializing, sometimes it'd be, let me research a social media post. I was just trying to figure things out. I'm sure some of you guys are there right now. That's totally fine. I recommend though doing that here instead of doing that at home. Just because you can work from home doesn't mean you should when you're trying to learn a new business. But to go back to that question, it was probably about 4 or 5 months. And that's another thing with open houses is if you do one open house, there's a good chance you might get leads, right? But for me, it's like doing open house. If I do 4 to 6 open houses a month, then I might expect the next month maybe one deal to come from it, and you have to be okay with that. But I mean, in this industry, our average commission check's 10,000. So if you could do 6 open houses a month and close one deal a month from that, I mean, $120,000 a year is a lot more than what a lot of people make, right? It's good money.
One of my first clients come from an open house.
Yeah.
I had it scheduled for Saturday and Sunday. He
Mhm.
came in on Saturday and talked to the listing agent Saturday night, told her everything went okay, but she said she had an offer that they accepted,
Mhm.
so they didn't want me to do it. I was like, well, I'll go ahead and do it on Sunday. Same client come in on Sunday, and he ended up buying a brand new construction house.
Wow, that's awesome. So for those of you that don't know, brand new construction is like a gem to us as agents, because all you got to do is you got to be there when you just got to be there and show them that first house. The first time that they go to the new build company, if the client decides to buy it, which if they have the money, a lot of times they're going to want to buy it because these homes are beautiful. All you do is sign them up. The agent that's there will sit them down, fill out all their application stuff, and then you forget about it. I mean, you call and check in on your clients. How are you doing? Still want to keep that relationship with your clients so that way it turns into referrals and future business. But the new builds take care of everything. You don't have to worry about paperwork. You literally don't have to do anything. Like it's like I don't even think you have to be there to give them their keys. Again, I try to be more involved because I want to earn long-term business. So I've been there for my clients, and I try to be very involved in this situation. But it's very smooth and easy when you bring your clients to a new build. But yeah, thanks for sharing.
When is your next open house?
I typically do an open house every Saturday. That's typically my style. I'll probably be doing one this Saturday.
You don't do them on Sundays?
I try to take Sundays off because I'm usually here Monday through Friday. And just the honest truth is I'm a big football guy. So when football season's in, I try to take Sunday as my personal day to recharge, enjoy football, hang out with the family. Now that my football team season's over, we'll probably start that again soon, especially like the summer and stuff like that. I feel like that's when it's hottest. So I will do Sunday open houses then. Yeah.
Okay.
And just because you have a bad out, like there's been times too where I've done an open house Saturday and Sunday, same property. Saturday, nobody came. So I'm like, oh man, Sunday's gonna suck. And then Sunday it's super busy. Open houses are really just hit or miss. I think I have another comment right there. What does that one say?
How many open houses did you do until you got your first buyer?
A lot. I don't know that answer. I probably should have been better at tracking when I was newer, but a lot. Like I said, twice a week, every week for months. So that's probably, what is that? Twice a week. There's 4 weeks, so about 8 a month. 8 a month for probably I would say probably between 20 and 30 open houses before I got my first deal from it. And I mean, that's funny because if you've been on this whole time, that first open house lead that I got was actually from an agent. I stole them. I was pretty proud of that actually because they were telling me that they actually were in escrow at one point, fell out of escrow because the lender couldn't perform. They lost their deposit. So they were discouraged, but they're like, we need to buy a house. So they decided to keep looking. They're like, we're working with an agent, awesome. And I'm like, okay, cool, no worries, not a problem. And this was before everybody used the BRBC. At this time, it was called, I think, the BRE. Before the BRBC, it was the BRE, right? So this was before you had to use this. So a lot of agents didn't use them. So I'm like, do you guys have a contract? Of course not. So I'm like, all right, cool, no worries. And I just kept following up for like 1 week. He's like, oh no, man, we got an agent, we're good. Second week, I called him. Hey man, just checking. You guys see anything? You guys in escrow yet? No, but I appreciate you calling. Third week, he's like, hey man, like I really appreciate you calling. We haven't heard from our agent since we've seen you at the open house. Like I appreciate it. No, we're still looking. We're still rolling with him. And then my objection handling, and I'm trying to set an appointment. He goes, not yet. Let me talk to the family. We want to work with them because obviously they got us approved and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, no worries. The fourth week I call him and he's like, yeah, let's meet. Sat down, got a buyer's consultation, made them sign a BRE at the time to work exclusively with me. And then like 2 weeks later, they're in escrow. Another aha for me is be very descriptive in your notes. Anytime somebody leaves my open house, I make notes. Reason being is because not just what they're looking for in the house, because you'll learn that eventually everybody's looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home on West Side. So it's hard for you to determine who was this that I'm talking to. The reason I say it is that first client that showed up, I remember I was in the lobby. Armando was still working the front desk. And he was like, what do you got going on? I'm like, I have an appointment coming in. They should be here any minute. I think they're running a little late. And he goes, oh, is that them? I had no clue if it was them. I literally didn't know who I was talking to because that open house was good. It was good. But yeah, like I said before, my notes would look like, okay, these people won't, and it was just their search criteria, but I didn't know. So now remember, your notes are your notes. Nobody else should see those. So whatever you need to say to remember, my notes are probably crazy. If you've seen some of the stuff in my notes, I'd probably get canceled, right? It'd be like girl with the crazy eyelashes and the buff husband. Like that's how I remember you. So now when I'm talking to you, I remember our interaction, right? Like get descriptive, whatever works for you. They're your notes. It's very important that I feel like you do know who you're talking to. Just because, like I said, they all become one at one point, and then it's hard to differentiate who's who and how did I relate with this person? How can I relate with them if I don't even remember who they are? So that's my advice too: is take notes not only about what they're looking for, definitely do that, but also try to give yourself a note to remember the interaction or what they look like or something, so that way you remember who you're talking to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Something that I was just wondering, as far as the signs,
Mhm.
the listing agent provides the signs for the open house, or do
So
we have to buy our own?
that's a good question, and it in the beginning you can probably if you're working with an established listing agent, they probably have signs for you to borrow. Clarify that when you say, "Hey, I want to do an open house. I want to see if it's possible to use your signs as well because I'm a new agent." Just make sure you coordinate that, right? Make sure that it's a conversation that's had because if you just say, "Can I do your open house?" They say yes, and you show up, it's without. I mean, you could still get a turnout. A lot of people that come in from the open houses now come out because they see it online on Zillow and stuff like that. If the listing agent puts it on there. But yeah, so eventually you want to get your own signs. Me personally, I had 12. Somebody stole it, so now I have 11. Probably gonna work on getting more soon. But I think some people are crazy and say, "Hey, 20 signs minimum." Some people do 4 signs. It's really up to you. I think 12 for me works because it's like the sweet spot. It's like a little bit hectic for me. That's the worst part about doing open houses for me. Setting up the signs. What I did to make it simpler, I used to drive and go, okay, there's a busy street over here. It's a busy, and I would drive and I'd set up signs like all throughout town. What it felt like. I took a class. It's called Bold, and the Bold instructor at the time. It's an expensive class. It's here at Keller Williams. It's taught by top producers. And he said the strategy that they're using, and I've kind of started implementing this. He goes, I kind of treat all of his listings or all his open houses like kind of like a mini farm. Like I kind of put them all on like a smart plan, if you will, or like a campaign. And he goes, so when I door knock them or leave them a flyer, I call them, whatever. But then I set up the open house signs throughout the neighborhood because those people now they're seeing me again. And then he goes, then do a couple like on the busy streets or whatever to point in. But he's like, I try to focus my attention on making sure the neighbors know about that open house because I want them to not only know about our marketing, know that they've talked to me, recognize my face again, and know that our work ethic. Like, hey, we're here Saturday and Sunday again. And to me, that was an aha. Again, I still like to put some that are on the busy cross street, close by, but I'm not driving 5 minutes away. Or I'd be like, okay, let's say I'm doing a house on 25th Street West. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go put some signs on 20th. I'm gonna go put some signs on 30th. And to me, that kind of drove me crazy. Now this is a little bit easier. I stress less. And what the agent said, and he's right, a lot of people that are coming to your open houses now, most of them are coming because they've seen it online first and they've seen that the open house is being hosted. So that's something that I do. And again, I'm not telling you it's the right way. I know people that still put signs everywhere. Whatever works for you, but it's just the way I do it.
We're just talking about the open house sign for the little arrow.
Yeah, yeah.
What do those run usually?
That's a good question.
I
I would
just put pen from
Ventura.
Ventura,
Uh huh.
and but it has my picture, it has my
Oh.
name on it and all that, and I pay like 480 for 10 of them.
So $40.
I think they're 40 to $50. I would talk to also Victoria. I know at one point in time there was a special with George Ventura with new agents getting like a discount on open house signs. So I'd talk to Victoria about that. I have a quote here. Does somebody want to read for me? I'm doing a lot of talking.
The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus.
That's right. That's right. So open houses, you have to prepare, prospect, and pursue. I'm going to try to start. We have about an hour left, and I don't know how many slides I got to go through. So I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit in terms of the curriculum because, again, I want to kind of go off script a little bit. So most of your work for the open house is done before the day of the open house. Prepare your mindset, practice conversations. That's to me that, for me, that looks like what I told you guys earlier in terms of door knocking, in terms of maybe even cold calling the open house, that kind of thing, right? Having your flyers, having your marketing and all that stuff done. So that way when you show up the day of, what my days look like when I do an open house, I show up, I either stop at the donut shop to get donuts, right? And I head to the house and then I backtrack and I put up the signs. And that's like, there shouldn't be much thinking going into the day you're doing the open house. It's game time, right? You should have practiced. Saturday, Sundays, it's the big game, right? So this is their strategy of how they think to set up an open house. I kind of already told you guys mine. Mine's slightly different, actually quite a bit different. But this is obviously very effective if we're teaching it at Keller Williams. So Monday, select the house. Tuesday, post online, walk the neighborhood, invite the neighbors to showing. That's the door knocking I'm talking about. Wednesday, post online again and install a yard sign. That I think is for when if you were the listing agent, you'd install the big posts. Obviously, you guys don't have to worry about that unless you do get the listing. Then obviously you guys can use that strategy. Thursday, post online again and invite your database. So call your friends, your family, or your past open house leads, invite them to the open house. That's a great strategy. And honestly, sometimes that's how you win people over is you say, hey, we met at an open house last week. I'm doing another one this week. And I feel like it's similar to what you're matching. Here's the flyer. And sometimes they'll show up and they'll be like, and you kind of recognize their face, but not sure. And they're like, I came last week. And you're like, oh, yeah, you're Kim. I invited you, right? Welcome. And sometimes that helps convert leads as well. Friday, post online again, prepare market statistics, print flyers, and door knock. What clients want to know? They want to know the community and neighborhood information, relocation information, first-time buyer specifics, and mortgage information. The 3 and 4 are exactly why you should have a lender on hand. A lender's going to know the first-time buyer specifics, what programs they have to offer. That's what a lot of people are curious about is, oh, can I buy a house with 0 money down? And you can. It's very possible in this market. Relocation information, community and neighborhood information. I just try to know the house. I try to just know I kind of understand. What's on my flyer? If you guys don't have a flyer there up here, it's an example. You guys feel free to take one. I kind of put on there just the quick key details. For example, like, okay, this home is a 5-bedroom, 5-bath, built in 05, right? Those are usually the questions you get when people walk in. How many bedrooms is this? What year is it built? And then people might ask a question that I don't have on here. How many solar panels? I have no clue. Let me find out and let me get back to you. But in the meantime, walk the house. If you guys have any questions, I'm here for you, right? So I just try to really know the house. I mean, and also if you guys are living out here, I'm sure you guys kind of know the areas. There's different pockets where, you're not really supposed to say you're not really supposed to say this is a bad area, right? You can't really say that. But what I like to do is be like, there's more desired areas, like most people want to be on the west side. I try to give clues, right? When people from out of town, I'm trying to win their trust. How's this neighborhood? I go, oh, it's great. Did a lot of people move here? A lot of people really like the west side. We could go look at some houses, So that's kind of what I do, just kind of know the general area, just from living out here. Prospect, build trust, rapport, provide value, capture information, and qualify leads. That's the name of the game. It's what I've been talking about this whole time, is just building their trust and trying to build rapport with them. Providing value, obviously. The thing I like to go to, as I've told you guys, because a lot of people come from out of town, is, hey, if you guys see a house you see online that you like, or I send you one, I will go and I'll FaceTime you. That way you guys don't have to come out here. If you guys really like it, then we could schedule a tour to come see it, but that way you guys don't have to waste your time, right? And that's another thing I do to try to snatch those lazy out-of-area agents, clients. Build trust and rapport, greet everyone that comes in the door and engage in the conversation. So I do want to touch on this really quickly. So my greeting to everybody is pretty much the same, but how I give them the tour differs. And I try to get a read on them. You can tell when people walk in and they're like, hey, we're just going to look around. You kind of get that vibe. Or you also see when people walk in, they're kind of like, hey, how are you? So is this? And those are the people that want the tour. So when people walk into my house, I go to the door. I kind of try to set myself up so I could see the door. Sometimes I leave it open, or sometimes I leave it cracked depending on the weather. But that way I can see people coming up and I try to greet them at the door. Handshake. Hey, my name is Andrew. How you guys doing today? Wonderful. What's your name, right? They tell me their name. I go, awesome. I go, come on, let's check out this house. And then I go through a quick rundown of the important facts. So and I kind of have this rehearsed before they come in. I go, so this house is a 5-bedroom, 5-bath home built in 2005, has paid off solar, has a custom built pool in the backyard, and it's a half-acre lot. And they go, oh, wow, really? And then from there I go, yeah, so feel free to take a look around depending on their vibe. If their vibe is, hey, show me around, then I go, okay, cool, let's go take a look at the kitchen. Look at these drawers pull out, they get soft closed drawers, whatever the kitchen island, and I'm going through the whole tour really selling the house. When it's somebody that I could tell doesn't want that, you want to earn their business, and you have to do business how they want you to do business with them. So if they want to just look around, be okay, awesome, look around, let me know if you have any questions, but I don't just leave them alone. I let them think I'm going to leave them alone, but I'll kind of walk by and then I'll be like, hey, down that hall, you're gonna find the master bedroom on your right hand side, and it's gonna have a remodeled bathroom. It's really nice, and then the left's the rest of the rooms. I look for little reasons just to talk to them. Oh yeah, and then when you guys go outside in the back, just let me know, because whatever the case is, just look for reasons to like talk to them and still try to build a little bit of rapport. Even though they want to be left alone, that's fine. Let them tour the house and let them do their thing on their own. But ask around, be like, hey, what do you think of that? Or try to still build rapport and engage with them. Then once they come downstairs or they come back to like where you're stationed, that's when I have that conversation. What do you think of the home? What do you like about the home? What don't you like about the home? Is this what you guys are looking for, or do you guys need something with a little bit bigger space? And that's when I try to build the rapport. And then here is, since I'm kind of here, I'm kind of going with how I close the open house. If you can get an appointment there, great. If you're having a great conversation, say, hey, you know what? Why don't we sit down for like 20, 30 minutes since you're a first-time home buyer? I'm going to show you the process from start to finish, so that way you guys know what to expect. This helps us learn to see if we'll be a good fit for each other, and see how that goes. But this right here is a sign-in sheet, right? This is what a lot of them look like. There's many different ways you could decorate, design it, but that's them, right? But I don't use sign-in sheets. I just don't. The reason being is you do open house long enough, you start to get fraudulent numbers. And a lot of these sign-in sheets are very, very invasive, in my opinion. Like if I'm a consumer, you walk in, please sign in. First of all, I don't know you. It's like full legal name. Like, all right, I got to give you my full legal name. I can't give you my nickname. And then it's phone number. Like, all right, now I'm already starting to get a little iffy. Like, I don't really want nobody calling me, texting me. I might put a fake phone number. Maybe I'll give you the phone number. Sometimes the next line is email. It's like, I don't even check my email. Like, I made that email in high school. I don't even I have to look it up. Like, now you're overcomplicating things. Sometimes they even say address. You're a complete stranger. Why am I going to give you my address? I don't know if you're a serial killer. Like, why am I going to give you where I live, my safety, my comfort? So what I do now is I don't have any business cards. I just have my flyer. I walk with them before they leave. I like to have that conversation with them, build as much rapport as I can, talk to them for as long as they'll let me talk to them. And if you do that part right, they'll do the job for you. There's so many times where I know when I did that part right, where they go, hey, do you have a card? And I go, perfect. Yeah, I do. Let me text it to you. So now I don't have a sign-in sheet. I get their phone number that way, and I text them my business card. Okay, what's your phone number? And now I know they're giving me their real phone number, because then I said, did you get the text, right? And then what was your name again? Because I always forget. I'm so focused when I try to be better at that. If that's one thing I can tell you, try to remember their name, but I always revisit it there and write me your name again. Daniel, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to guess. Then you're whatever, right? Put them in, send them the business card. That's my sign-in sheet. My sign-in sheet is me getting your phone number. That's all I care about. And people are a little bit less invasive because you're doing it at the end after you've had a good conversation. And if they don't ask, because sometimes they're not going to ask, be, oh, hey, really quick, let me send you my business card in case any questions or anything come up, okay? Okay, perfect. And I would say 90 times out of 100 for me, I get the phone number. Like, it's very rare, very, very rare I get pushback with that approach. But again, that works for me. I would say I'm part of the small percentage that doesn't use sign-in sheets. Most people do sign-in sheets and swear by them. But I was tired of looking at, I had a hot lead, super excited. I go to call them on Monday and I go, is that a 4 or is that a 9? And then I try both numbers and they're both disconnected. It's like, all right, like that good lead is gone, So that's what I do. Again, to each their own. I'm not telling you that's the right way, but it really works for me. It was a game changer for me. I would say maybe try it, but you have to kind of have that confidence to ask them for their number. And you can't forget. Like, I've literally ran out of open houses before. I'm like, oh, hey, really quick, let me text you my business card. Like, because that's the whole reason you're doing it. And then that same bold class that I took, the agent said something that stuck with me. He goes, you should, if they don't want to give you that number, they don't want to have that conversation with you, like, that's okay, but focus on the people that did. If you had an open house and 5 leads came through and 2 or 3 of them said, hey, I want your number, or hey, here's my number, focus on them. Why are you going to keep following up with somebody that's going to block your number? Now, there's a different perspective about that. I come up, the way I was trained is like, follow up. It doesn't matter. Keep calling them until they block you, cuss you out, whatever. And I still kind of do that. So like, I'm guilty of that. But it's not the end of the world if they don't give you the number. But I'm telling you, from my experience, I could probably count on both my hands in my 4-year career and the hundreds of open houses I've probably done, how many people I haven't gotten their number. Whether it was a sign-in sheet or whether it was the text method. Very few people give me pushback, and maybe I've been lucky. Maybe it's my delivery. I don't know. But if you build the rapport, I think it becomes a lot easier to get their contact info. Provide value, know your team stats, know your market stats, understand personality types, have something to offer to the visitors. So know your team stats. That's if you're on a team or, you can kind of brag, say, hey, we're at Keller Williams. Know your market stats is important. This is a great way I earn trust. I'm going to go back to the MLS really quickly, actually, and show you guys what I do. Each month, these get updated. If you didn't know about these, which we have a couple seasoned agents in here, so you guys should know about these at this point. So every month, this gets updated. And these are different market stats. Have you guys ever seen any of this? Or is this new to everybody? Is this new to anybody? If it's new to one person, I'll go through it. If it's all old news, okay. So this is how I familiarize myself with if the market's strong, what the activity is. I look at all these stats. So this is a sell to original list price ratio. What this means is what are homes selling for percentage-wise. So if we hover over December, in December, homes were selling for 96.4% of what they're listed for. What that means is if a home was listed for 100,000, on average, it's going to sell for 96,400. Right now, you can multiply that towards our scale, which is our average purchase price is about 450, 500. Actually, this is going to tell us what our average purchase price is right now. But this is another way you win trust because you have knowledge. You tell them, oh, on average, homes are selling for about 96% of what they're listed for. And I love this stat because those people that come in and say, hey, this house is nice. It's listed for 500,000. Would they take 400,000 for it? This to me is me telling them, you're out of your mind. That's not the market we're in. But it's me telling them in a very, it's the data, it's here. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get a 30% discount on a home in this market. You're not. Now, can you get $15,000 to $20,000 off list price? There's a chance. Statistically, there's a chance, right? This one is sold DOM for residential. This is days on market. So right now, our average days on market is actually up to 73.7, right? So another way to win trust with them is telling them, like, if you see, I'll tell people that just come to my open house, if you see a home on the market over 75 days, there's a chance you could probably negotiate and get a little bit of a better deal, whether they're my client or not. It's just me looking out for them, trying to win their trust, trying to win their heart. This is volume. I usually don't pay attention to volume too much. This is the one I pay attention for. So we have active median list price is going to be the blue, yellow is going to be the sold median list price, and red is going to be the new median list price. So our new median list price is $47,400. Our median sold price is $455, and our active median price is $485. So I like to tell people, on average right now, homes are selling for about $455. Especially for those people coming out of town, they don't know this market. What do homes go for around here? Well, on average, according to December, the median sales price was $455, but it depends. You go to the west side, that price may trickle up a little bit depending on what you're looking for. This right here is the absorption rate. Does anybody here know what absorption rate means?
How many months of inventory?
Exactly. So absorption rate is 4.19. Essentially, it's how we scale our inventory. What this means is if we stopped putting houses on the market today, how long would it take for us to completely sell out? And this is telling us 4 months of inventory. So I don't want to get the numbers misconstrued, but I believe 1 to 4 months is a seller's market. 4 to 6 is a balanced market. It's kind of, it's kind of not really a buyer's market, not really a seller's market. It's right in the middle. And 7 plus is buyer's market, right? So we're far from a buyer's market. Even though the last 2 years have been kind of weird in terms of buyers can get closing costs and stuff, we've never statistically been in a buyer's market given the stats in the last couple years. So again, when you log into your MLS, you just scroll down and these stats get updated every month. So those are things that I think you should know prior to your open house. And again, once you kind of know them, they only change once a month. So, it becomes pretty repetitive, and it just helps give you more confidence when you're talking to people because you know your market, and I guarantee you a lot of agents aren't bringing up these stats because a lot of them don't know them. But if you know those 3 or 4 numbers we just went over, I think that already gives you trust. It already shows that, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Capture information and qualify leads. Have a sign-in sheet or don't. It's really up to you. Use command. Open the KW app. Ask questions. Remember, you're there to get leads and appointments. Command's a huge, huge tool for me, especially with my open houses. If you guys aren't using Command or if you guys are new, you guys can set up what's called a smart plan. So when you put leads into your database and you tag them as open house leads, it'll put them on the smart plan. A smart plan is essentially a campaign. I don't want to get too deep into that because that's a whole nother class. I will kind of get into at the end what my smart plan looks like and the strategy I use when I'm done with the open house, what my follow up looks like. Pursue, follow up, and convert leads after open houses. Yeah, that's where the fortune is in the follow up. I'm sure you guys have all heard that. The open houses, when you win their business, a lot of times it's not going to be at the open house. It's going to be in how you follow up and how not aggressive you are, but persistent. Don't call them once and text them once and that's it. The way that your Keller Williams teaches, you're supposed to have what's called an 8x8, which means 8 touches in 8 weeks. So it's 1 touch a week for 8 weeks to build their trust. I kind of do something similar. I will literally tell you guys what my plan looks like, but towards the end, I want to make sure we get through the curriculum so that way I don't get in trouble. You guys see me at a different office. Oh, actually, that's it. So that's the curriculum. You guys can go ahead and give me a survey, but we can save that because we have 40 minutes, and I'll probably use that because there's a lot of things that aren't in the book that I do that I want to teach you guys. One of the biggest strategies that really works well for me right now, especially again with out of area buyers or even local buyers, it doesn't matter, but I think it works best with them, is when I'm at the open house and I'm talking to them and I'm building rapport, I ask them, hey, is there any other homes you guys are planning to see? Yeah, we're checking out open houses today. Okay, cool. Is there any that weren't open houses that you'd like to see? Oh, actually there was that one, but I don't think they're doing an open house. Now I don't have to ask them to send me their business card. I say, can you text it to me really quick? Here, send it to me. I wrap up here at 3 and I'm free after. Maybe we can go check it out around 3:30, right? And that right there, when you do that and you're actually able to meet with somebody or show them a house afterwards, I feel like your chances of converting just skyrocket. Like it almost, I would say for me, like 4 out of 5 times works where I'm able to convert them now, whether they have an agent or whether they don't. Now, if they have an agent and they've told me, hey, we've signed a contract, I won't do that. But there's also a search on the MLS where you can look for only vacant houses, right? The same way I showed you guys earlier where you hit that add filters, you can search vacant. So what I'll do is if they don't tell me, oh, hey, there's a house that I want to see, I say, okay, what are you looking for? 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, this side of town, pool, 3-car garage, put in all that criteria, and then I'll pull up an MLS search for the vacant houses. Reason being is most vacant houses you could just go direct and see. We don't need an appointment since it's short notice. Since it's short notice, you could go show them. But when they have a house that they want to see, sometimes you have to call, try to schedule, and like I said, it's short notice. And your goal is to try to make that happen because again, it wins over so much trust, and it shows them. I think a little bit it shows them, but I think it shows them your work ethic and how hungry you are too. Like I just met this person, they don't know me, but my agent said, oh, we can't see this house this weekend, but he was able to get an appointment with a 2-hour heads up. How? Because I actually made the call and I wasn't too lazy to make the drive. So that's a huge thing. And again, if they don't have a house in mind, say, okay, cool. I've pulled up the MLS and I'll look through vacant houses. Do any of these catch your eye? What about this one? What about that one? You like to see these 3? Okay, cool. I wrap up here at 3. You guys have some open house to go check out. Maybe go grab a bite. It's going to take me probably 30 minutes to clean up here. So can we meet there at 3:30, 4 o'clock? And they say, yeah. And then I go and show them houses. That right there, I'm telling you guys, if you take one thing from this class, try to implement that. Because that is like, I'm telling you, like, it's so crazy how much trust, and it doesn't always work out right away. I did one like this a couple months back. They came to my listing. It was my listing. They liked it. Weren't really sold. They're like, there's this one house that we've seen online and it's really nice, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, have you seen it in person? They're like, no, just picture. I'm like, why haven't you seen it in person? Oh, I haven't done an open house. Our agent hasn't shown it to us. I'm like, send me the address. They texted to me. I showed it to them. And another thing too, as new agents, don't ever get too excited with leads. Sometimes the leads that you get most excited for and think are the best, hottest leads, they don't pan out. They end up blocking you. They end up, sometimes the leads that you don't take serious, and I know it's bad, we're supposed to take everybody serious. I don't want to say take serious, but sometimes the leads you least expect are the ones you convert. It's kind of weird. I have this weird method, like the ones that I always get excited about never pan out, and the ones that I'm always like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're just kicking tires, end up converting. It's weird. So going back to this story, I showed them this house and I literally thought they're already pre-approved. I thought I was going to write an offer that day on that house on somebody I just met. And if you think about this open house, like in the grand scheme of things, this is how it can work. You go and you spend 3 hours at a house. You find that one person, if you're able to convert them that day, which is crazy. Look how much little time you spent on them, right? That house, I think, was $700,000. Let's say on the low end, 2%, right? I would try to negotiate for 3% every time when I'm on the buyer side. I'll settle for 2. Let's say it's 2% on a $700,000 home. That's a $14,000 Saturday. right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a 30-day process, 45-day process of work that goes into that. But the fact that you converted that lead and it's possible, and it's not going to happen like that all the time. It's very rare that that happens. A lot of times it's going to be getting leads, following up for months before you get something. But I'm telling you, with this strategy that I've like been implementing, I feel like it makes it more of a possibility, right? Like it's always a chance, but I feel like this increases the chances of it happening. Long story short, those buyers are kind of on the back seat right now. This was months ago. They decided to wait for financial reasons, whatever the case is. But I talked to them, and I honestly didn't do a great job following up with these people after that because they kind of like cut me off a little bit. It felt like I wasn't able to get a hold of them, but I felt like I had a connection, so I kept going. And I kept calling them. I kept calling. Eventually, I got a hold of her. Actually, she texted me, and she goes, "Hey, I see you're calling. We've been really busy getting things together. We're not ready to buy just yet, but when we do, you're our guy, right?" And whether she's just telling me what I want to hear or not, we'll see. Only time will tell. But as agents, when you get that, I mean, I'm in the business 4 years now. When I get that, it's a very reassuring feeling. Like, okay, I'm earning their trust. Again, they might go somewhere else, but in the moment, it made me feel good. So I mean, you got to take the wins with, you got to take the wins how they come. Let me see here. I literally have a checklist of things that I wanted to go in that are not in the curriculum. So, okay. Do you guys have any questions for me at this point? Is there anything that I've said that you guys maybe want clarification on? Any thoughts? Anything at this time?
Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, please. I like this because really quick before you get into your point, this is an agent that's how long have you been in the business? I've seen you around.
Almost 7 months now.
Almost so less than a year in the business, but she's already getting experience. And when I was a new agent, like the rest of you guys over here, hearing other new agents' experiences was very motivating. It's a way to connect. Before you get into your point, if I were you guys and I haven't done an open house, she's newer. She's still figuring things out herself as well, right? Is that fair to say? I would ask, hey, can I do an open house with you? Can I shadow you? Not do an open house together. I wouldn't do that quite yet if it's your first one. Let her get the leads because right now she's probably going to know how to work them, right? You're just there to just watch and observe. Do that 1 or 2 times with somebody. Don't do it any more than that. 1 or 2 times max. Now you're ready to start hosting your own open houses. Whether you feel ready or not, you got to get on that horse.
Well, what you mentioned, sometimes you get so excited, and I've sent numerous clients like, okay, go talk to the lender, and then they don't qualify. But you get so excited, like, okay, like you build a rapport, and so then you kind of just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to yesterday's class, like it's on the follow up.
100%.
So when I first started, I didn't really do as much follow ups. Like, yeah, I would connect them to the lender, they wouldn't qualify.
Why wouldn't you do
Okay.
so much follow up? Was it you're scared to like push them away or like over
Yeah.
communicate with them?
Well, some that didn't qualify was like, well, you didn't qualify,
Mhm.
But then I started working with my mentor. My mentor told me, oh, right now it gives you a chance to send them thank you letters for Thanksgiving, Christmas, send calendars. So I started doing that and just kind of like calling them up, like, oh, I know you didn't qualify, but how are you doing?
Right.
And like you said, make friends. Don't just always focus on the selling part.
Yeah.
And I have had like a couple people just kind of like say, oh, thank you so much for the card. It was really nice.
100%.
And it kind of keeps you, at least they're not gonna probably purchase right now, but in the future they might. And it does get nervous, like, or you get a little nervous talking, like wanting to call them, like I don't want to bother
Right.
them.
You don't want to feel invasive.
Yeah, yeah. But then at the end of the day, like you said, they appreciate. And I right now I currently am working with a buyer that I met her like a couple months ago, and I did that. I sent her a couple of thank you letters and all that, and she actually now she got approved, and now she's like
Awesome.
shopping around. So
Good job.
it's a little bit of a process sometimes when it comes to connecting with people and making sure you're just providing the service for them.
Right.
But it does get kind of like, oh darn, I really thought this person was gonna qualify.
Yeah.
I was gonna put an offer, and like you get like your hopes up.
100%. One thing my mentor told me when I was new is never get excited until the house is closed. And yeah, that's something that you guys need to take away as well. If you get a good lead, you get a hot lead, there's a good chance it still doesn't work out, right? I'm not trying to be negative, but it's just you don't ever want to be too high or too low in this business because it's a very emotional business. So you want to just not be attached to the outcome. Not say, oh God, if this works out, I'm gonna get a check. This is gonna be a good one. You want to just treat everybody the same, and celebrate when it's closed. Even though you got them in escrow, there's a million reasons why it can fall out of escrow. And again, I'm not trying to be negative. I even tell my clients that, and I'll tell them when we meet at the buyer's consultation. I'll be like, hey, look, we got you in escrow. You know, I have a whole will, and it's like this is where we start. We start meeting with the realtor, so we're doing that today. Awesome. Next step, we're gonna get you connected with the lender. Good news is the lender is gonna walk in 30 minutes and we're gonna start your application, right? But I go through the whole list. I go, once we get you in escrow, I go, it's very important not to get too excited yet. Don't go and spending money on furniture for a couple different reasons. And again, I don't want to go through the whole presentation right now because again, that's a whole nother thing. But I tell them like, even when they get an offer accepted, I congratulate them. That's great. That's awesome. They're excited. I'm happy they're excited. I'm like, hey guys, but let's remember, like, it's not done until it's done. Just because I don't want to not have that conversation with them because it'll make the conversation harder later. Most of the time with the buyer, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be, I don't want to say a lot of times, but a lot of times the buyer has more control when they're buying the home. If it doesn't work out, it's going to be because the buyer couldn't get the repairs they wanted, so they decide to cancel. Things like that. But there are chances of their appraisal not coming in. There are chances of them not getting their loan together for whatever reason. And if that's the case, you need to find a better lender, because yeah, it's not really, you shouldn't be losing deals in escrow. It can happen. But I think if you and your lender do a good job preparing them, that won't happen. The reason that usually happens is because they acquire more debt or they mess up their credit. So it's very important that meeting, when I tell them it's important not to get too excited. I follow it with, don't go buy new furniture because you still have closing costs and you're going to have money that you need to wire to escrow. I don't want you to forget about. Not only that, but if you go and put it all on your credit card, you're going to increase your debt and you could affect your credit. I tell them from this point moving forward, now that we're qualified, it's very important to very minimal spending. Something happens, something, God forbid, whatever emergency, you need to use a credit card, whatever the case is, let us know so we can reevaluate the numbers and see if it still makes sense for you to buy a home before it ends in heartbreak. So that's one thing that you kind of want to do with them, to just kind of prep them. And like I said, not get too excited, not get too, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. It almost never stops. I mean, me and Star had a very big emotional roller coaster earlier this year. Long story short, it didn't work out, not because of anything I did wrong, not because anything Star did wrong. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's okay. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I tell my clients that too. I'm like, you got outbid on this house. They're sad. They thought this was the one. I'm like, if the house is meant to be, it'll work out. I've seen it happen where that house, maybe it falls out of escrow if it's really meant to be, and they call us and we get it. But if not, it's because there's a bigger plan for you. There was something else I did want to talk to you guys about. I already told you guys about that. Oh, I want to get into my follow-up really quick. You guys could write this down. It's totally up to you. Actually, I'm gonna do one better. So this is Darlene. It's my client. It's all her information, right? These are the notes that nobody's supposed to see. So if there's something crazy in there, you guys didn't see it. But I'm giving you guys the real. So obviously, nobody call my client because that would be rude. But this is a lady I met at an open house. Probably, I guess it'll tell me right here. I can't. Okay. I met March 2020. I met March 24th, 2025. So this was somebody that I could have been probably a little bit more descriptive about. I didn't really fully remember. I just remember we had a really good, I felt like I connected with them, right? So after the open house, I knew that they had a big house. They were going to sell that house. They want to buy another house, another big house, but like a 1-story, maybe something smaller that they can get their mother-in-law to like move around easier in. Okay, cool. Makes sense. Again, had a really, really good conversation with them. These are my notes. Every time I talk to somebody on notes, this is command. Again, if you're not familiar with it, familiarize yourself with it. Talk to Mondo, take a class because it's instrumental to your business. So this was March 24th. I have a plan where I was calling her probably 1 to 2 times a week until I got a hold of her. And I didn't get a hold of her until almost 2 full months later. So I kept calling her. Most agents would have done 8 calls or whatever, 10 calls, and said, oh, you know what? She blew me off. But I'm like, I don't do this with everybody, although that I should, and you guys definitely should. It's easier when you have a smaller amount, but once you get to where you're having more leads, you kind of lose focus. So when you're new, just keep following up, whether they're answering, whatever. Like Eventually, you'll know if they block you, if they don't want to talk to you. But sometimes you're just catching them at the wrong time. So 2 months go by, and I'm not able to get a hold of her. Finally, I get a hold of her. And she tells me that they're hanging tight. They want a one-story on the west side, open in Leona Valley. Check with her every couple months. So now that I got a hold of her, I'm able to reevaluate my strategy. I don't need to really be calling her twice a week if she's still a couple months out, right? So 5 months go by of me trying to get a hold of her. And again, this might be maybe 2 calls a month now at this point, right? It's not as consistent. I don't get a hold of her again until 5 months after that previous actually, you know what? That's a lie. I don't think I got a hold of her this time. This time I got into a little stalker mode. I'm joking, but I didn't have her address at the time. And there's websites out there that as realtors, not as realtors, but as realtors you should use them. They're not just for us. There's one that's called Fast People Search. So if you get a number at an open house, you want to make sure it's the right number. You can put it in there, and it should tell you. If it gives you any information, it'll tell you whose name that's attached to. Sometimes it'll tell you their address. There's also Fast People Search, and there's that'sthem.com. Those are the two that I use. So I went down a rabbit hole because now I haven't connected with this lady in over 5 months, and I feel like I have a good connection with, and I know that there's a want for them to buy or to. I know there's a buy for them. There's a want for them to sell and buy. So I got in a little stalker mode. Now at this point, I'm starting to get a little antsy because I'm like, I haven't heard from her in a while, and I want to establish that connection again. So now I'm going to start calling her a little bit more frequently just to get a hold of her. 5 days later, I get a hold of her. She said she's going to hold off for a minute. She may need to sell her daughter's house in East Lancaster because unfortunately her daughter passed away. Makes sense why for 5 months I wasn't able to get a hold of her. She was dealing with life, right? Has nothing to do with me not being a good agent. Has nothing to do with you sometimes. It's just life. So with that being said, her house is currently, I'm selling it. It's currently in escrow. It should close in 2 weeks. Her daughter's house. The moral of the story for me is, the reason I wanted to show you guys that is I went months without talking to her, but I felt there was a connection there, so I just kept pushing. And obviously they're going through life, but when I actually had the time to sit down I have a great relationship with Darlene now. Like, we have a really good relationship. Obviously, her daughter was young, I think 40 something. Daughter was really young, but the financial, getting away from the emotional aspect, trying to put my business hat back on. The plus for it is I've now earned their trust in their business. They are so to this point very happy with me and my service. She told me, I appreciated you calling me. We knew that when we were ready to make a move, you're the guy we're going to call because you just kept calling, regardless if we were answering or not. I left a voicemail every time. Hey, Darlene, it's me. We haven't had a chance to connect. And I just kept going until eventually I got a hold of her. And sometimes that's what it takes. But here's what I'm getting at is I'm selling her daughter's house. They still eventually want to sell their house and buy another one. Her daughter's house, that's an escrow for almost $500,000, so it's a pretty healthy purchase price. Her house, they live in Quartz Hill. Her house is well over $1 million, and the house that they're going to buy is probably going to be close to $1 million as well, if they do decide and when they do. But if I didn't keep calling because they weren't answering, that's could be like $2.5, $2.8 million worth of volume that I would have missed out on. But at the same time, my persistence is the reason why I'm in the door. So I want to show you guys that because I want you guys to, especially the people you have a good connection with, don't be like, oh, keep calling, because there can be a silver lining. And I mean, worst case, how long does it take you to leave a call and leave a voicemail? Maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes? If it doesn't work out, you wasted 2 minutes of your day. If you're a new agent, you probably didn't have much better to do anyway, right? Like, it's just the truth of the matter. So make the call. I think I have something popping up there on Zoom. Can you guys read me the last couple of messages? And then I'm going to get out of this because that is her personal information. They're not really supposed to show that, but.
They were just talking about Fast People Search and that's them.
Oh, okay, perfect. And then another quick story. This was probably this is my first year in real estate. This was before I had done any deal from an open house. Met this family at an open house, told me they had an agent, kind of blew me off. Got their number, followed up. Never was able to get a hold of them. Actually, I think at that point it was like I didn't even know if I had the right number because the sign-in sheet, I couldn't read the writing, whatever. Probably 2-3 weeks go by, and they come to another one of my open houses. And we were doing this open houses this often. Everybody becomes one, right? Like, it's hard to differentiate. But I seen them, and I was looking at them. They're kind of looking at me. I'm like, we've met before, right? Like, maybe. I'm like, yeah, I think you guys came to one of my previous open houses. So I re-get their number or whatever. Like, yeah, we're still looking. but we have our cousin's a realtor. They're the ones helping us. I'm like, no worries at all. I'm just here to be a resource for you. Now in today's age, I'd probably, now that I know what I know, I'd probably be okay. They have a family realtor. There's really no business for me. Like I'm not gonna not go with my cousin. Like I get it. But at that point, it was like I was still being molded. So it was like handle the objection, find out like you can earn their trust. So that's what I was doing, and I highly recommend it for you guys. I would say probably 6 months to maybe even a year went by of me calling this number, never getting an answer. It was the husband. His husband's name's Nathan. Never getting an answer. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm still gonna try. Like you never know. I just did they buy a house at this point? Like do I like what do I do? And it wasn't super frequent. Again, now these calls are probably maybe twice a month, right? Just trying to re-engage with them. I happened to call him on his way home from work, and I guess he's a very busy guy. That's why he hasn't been answering. Did you buy a house? No, things went wrong with the realtor. We're in escrow, couldn't get approved for the mobile home park. This is that and the third. But call my wife because she's the one that deals with this because I'm too busy. I'm working. Okay, what's your wife's number? Get the wife's number. Call her. Long story short, I don't want to get too much into the details, but they ended up not only buying a house, they didn't buy a mobile home, they bought a regular home in Lake LA. And don't get me wrong, it was not the prettiest escrow. It wasn't. It was very tough, but I had a great lender, Brad. If you guys haven't met him, Brad's our in-house lender. At the time, he wasn't our in-house lender, so They don't pay me to say this. I don't get. But he was the lender at the time that I was working with. Again, before he was in this building, he was able to qualify them, get them in, and we were able to help them buy a house. But I want you guys to know it was probably 6 months to 12 months of me following up with them and getting zero response. And that's what open house leads are. Like I gave you the story earlier where I thought I was going to write the offer that same day. That's amazing, but most of them are going to look like the last two examples I've given you. And I think that's pretty much everything I have to say to you guys today. If you guys have questions, I'm pretty much an open book. Oh, one last thing, actually. I did want to get into my follow-up plan really quickly. So obviously you guys are seeing that I'm good at times. Obviously this isn't every scenario or else I'd be somewhere else, right? No, I'm just kidding. But my follow-up plan now for open houses, this is something that I do that I felt like also I felt a difference. Before I do the open house Saturday and Sunday, and then I'd probably wait till Monday to reach out to them. Call them, hey, what'd you think of the home? Is this one for you? Do you want to keep looking? And then I'm trying to build more rapport to set an appointment. Now, my plan is when I'm done with the open house, I pick up my signs, I go home, go to the office, whatever, give it about probably around 5 when I know, okay, they're no longer looking at open houses. They're probably on their way back to the valley or they're back home. I send them a text. Hey, Mike, it was really nice meeting you today at the open house. I'm trying to remember the text off the top of my head. I literally have it saved. I could probably, it might even be in here. I'm giving you guys literally, I don't know how many agents will give you, like this is like literally like my plan. This is everything. So I am giving you guys are getting access to all my secrets. Let's see, I want to edit this really quick. So I have a plan. Anytime I put somebody in my open house, they get put on a smart plan. And it's just a plan that I created with different mix of calls, texts, right? So this is my after open house text. Hey, contact first name. It was a pleasure meeting you today. Thanks for stopping by my open house. I would love the opportunity to earn your business and help you buy a home that checks all your boxes. Please feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. I've since tweaked this. It's not tweaked in my smart plan, but I tweak it when I'm texting. I don't like to say earn your business anymore. I like to say I like to earn your trust. And then when I say this is kind of a generic and I know what to insert, helps you buy a home that checks all of your boxes, that usually gets erased and I implement the conversation we had. I'd love to help you find that 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in East Palmdale that you're looking for with the ranch style. I'd love to help you find that. That way that they know I was listening. A lot of times I'll get a like, they'll just like my message or they'll respond, likewise, nice meeting you. And then I'm calling them either the next day or Monday. Because again, if my open house on Saturday, I'll probably call them now on Monday. Say, hey, it's me. Just wanted to follow up. Did you see any other houses that weekend? Going to trying to build rapport and then earning their trust to set up a buyer's consultation and get them to sign a contract with me. But this text right here after the open house, for me, I felt like a small, to me, it's just small little increments of things that I try to do to get closer. And I feel like this was one that helped me get closer because I think it helps separate you a little bit from the other agents because I don't know how many agents are doing this after the open house. It could be some of them, but I know all of them aren't. So it's just something that. And then when I text them, my first text to them is always my business card. So when I text them that later, regardless of how many houses they see my face again, and I feel like it just helps me keep me top of mind. And then after that, then it's, you know, usually 8 different touches of me going through and calling them, texting them. The most important information, if you guys do have a sign-in sheet that you use that does have an email, does have an address, honestly, prioritize the phone number. That's the only one that really matters to me. What do you need their email for? Like realistically, like you could set it up in the MLS to where it'll email them properties when it matches their criteria, right? Or you could put them on drip campaigns and stuff. I feel like we do that to make our lives easier, which is great. But a lot of people, I mean, I'm a realtor and I don't check my email. Like I have a TC and she texts me all the time like, hey, I need you to respond to that email. Like I'm not good at checking my email. Most of the world isn't good at checking their email. I want your phone number because I don't need to email you properties. I can text you the link. I could call you. So that's kind of my advice is just prioritize the number, not the email. The email and the address come later to me.
How do you text a link through the MLS?
Yeah, so let's just say I'm just gonna go to. Actually, I'm gonna go to menu. So this right here is the hot sheet. When you log into your MLS, this is what it's gonna look like. New listings. So this is gonna show us all the properties listed in the last 24 hours. And I like to check this every day because if I have a buyer that's looking, I want them to be the first to know about it. Let's just say there's this property in California City. There's this share button, and you hit permalink. Now you could copy and paste this link. I have Apple products, so when I'm on my computer, I copy this link, and then I can open up my message app and paste it that way, or I could just paste it directly to my phone. If you don't have that, you can email this link to yourself and copy and paste it.
Or Tulio, right?
Or say that again?
The Tulio app, right? That allows you to.
Twilio allows you to send like,
on command, right?
yeah, Twilio's on command. That more allows you to send like mass text messages and automated text messages. What I would do is you can email it if you have their email, which is great. Or what you can do too is you don't have to send it to the MLS. Like you can go on Zillow. They're familiar with Zillow. Their agents like to like, I feel like, look at Zillow and Realtor and all the consumer sites kind of like their enemy in a sense of like, oh, I'll send you the properties from the MLS. And I don't understand why. It's a tool. They already trust that tool. I'll send them properties on Zillow. Like go on Zillow, find the link and text it to them. What do you think of this one? You know, they already have an account. They're already looking for homes on there. Why not make it a tool instead of something you're trying to go up against? To me, it doesn't really make sense.
I find that Redfin
Mm-hmm.
has different properties sometimes than Realtor.com and Zillow.
Really? So
that was my catch
Mhm.
to some clients
Mhm.
because they would always be on Realtor.com.
Right.
And then I go on Redfin and I find them 1 or 2 properties that they didn't know about.
Really?
And that would give my little thing in. Oh, I found these properties that you probably
Added
didn't know
value.
about.
Added value.
Added value.
100%. And that's another thing too is I'm glad you brought that up because I would have never brought this up without you telling me that. The consumer sites a lot of times have more properties than we have on our MLS. And the reason they do is because these out of area agents that I swear it's you guys are gonna think I hate, which I really don't have a problem with them unless they're being lazy. But I've seen an agent in San Diego take a listing in California City. If you're gonna do that, okay, more power to you, whatever. At least pay for the local MLS so that way the local agents that use that MLS can see the property. It's not gonna show up in our system if they don't put it in our system. But guess what? The consumer sees it because it's on the consumer site. So when you're looking through properties, it almost makes us look bad. Like, hey, these are all the 5-bedroom houses in this neighborhood, and they're like, well, I found this one on Zillow. Oh, I'm sorry, and I don't want to tell them it's because the listing agent isn't doing what they're supposed to do. Like, if you're going to take a listing out of an area that you're not a member of, I feel like you owe it to your sellers to put it in that to where the local agents can at least see it. So that's why I think the consumer sites aren't our enemy. Take advantage of them because yeah, like I said, there's properties on there that we don't have on our MLS because agents are lazy.
I think too is because you have to do that extra step of becoming a member here.
Yeah, and it costs.
Yeah, and it costs like $600 or something.
But you're about to get a $15,000 check.
And
Like
I think that's why sometimes people don't do that because they're like, oh, I already have this one. Might as well just put it on there.
yeah.
Really, yeah. And if you're here, you should really be, when you can,
SRAR.
The
Yeah.
Santa Clarita one as well, because it really gives a wide range of land count. I mean, that.
So we're actually the oddballs out. The Antelope Valley is the oddballs out. So SRAR, that's the South Regional Association of Realtors. It covers like almost like all of Southern California, but the Antelope Valley. So we're the oddballs out. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like if you guys do take a listing out every now and then, I mean, maybe you get away with it. But for me, I feel like if I truly am putting my clients' needs first, it needs to be in the local MLS. You don't have to. It's not, obviously people, you can get around it. But I just feel like if you're going to be taking business out there, spend a couple $100 and make sure that it's getting the most exposure, because that's why your client's hiring you.
But still look on realtor.com, look on Redfin, look in different places, because even though the agents out there might not have our central boxes out here that you guys have access to, a lot of times they'll have combo boxes that you guys can get codes to still show those properties.
Right.
So, it's good to still make those extra calls.
100%. We got 10 minutes left. I'm all yours. If you guys want to leave, you guys can. If you guys want to sit here and brainstorm, talk, take a deeper dive into a certain aspect of open houses, I'm all yours. So, any questions, any thoughts, anything that I didn't go over that you guys are maybe hoping to get today from this class? Does everybody know how to find an open house now?
Yes.
Anybody that doesn't, I know a couple of us walked in late. If you don't, no problem. But I want everybody to leave at least. You don't have the excuse or crutch after this class of I don't know how to find open houses. So I don't want nobody to have. Everybody knows how to find one.
Would you mind going?
I'll go over it. So this is what I do to find open houses on a weekly basis, still to this day. If you're a new agent, this is the way to do it. So it's your MLS. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Okay. So if you scroll over here, there's a section where you could add a search field. So I type in office, and it says listing and selling office. So now we're going to be looking for houses. Only Keller Williams listings. Now it doesn't have to just be a Keller Williams listing, and I'm going to say that before they run in and tackle me. It doesn't have to be a Keller Williams listing. It can be a listing. It could be an agent from another office. I've done open houses for other offices. I will tell you, it is kind of a little bit weird because sometimes the client notices like, hey, that was a Remax sign. You're Keller Williams, or what's going on? I don't recommend. We have enough listings here for you guys to do Keller Williams open houses, and I think that's part of the reason why you join a company like Keller Williams is because not only are they trusted, but we have the inventory to do that. So I 99% of the time do Keller Williams open houses. I'm just saying there have been times where I've done outside ones, and I choose to stick with Keller Williams for the most part.
And Wendy told us that we're not allowed to do that anymore.
It's because of the insurance.
Only
Yeah.
the
Is that right?
only
That's
listings.
as of
Yeah.
this
So
year.
I'm not talk to the broker about that. Obviously, she's the broker, so she would probably know more about that than I do. So again, the way I do things, I'm not telling you guys the right way. It's just
I asked her we could do VIP, for example, or Shimano Oaks, which are.
So the truth is too,
But she
sometimes
said no.
brokers just don't like it. I don't know, but she could be right because I do know last year there was a conversation about them. They think it's kind of a conflict of interest or misleading. So I'm sure she's right and accurate with her information. So
She mentioned too, there's a liability if things get broken or stolen, and then the
Right.
office doesn't want to be responsible for it.
yeah, that's why. Because last year there was an issue where it got brought up because people felt like, like who's held responsible at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not up to date with the broker's the person to go to for that. So.
Okay, it was just recently, a couple of days ago, so it's just new.
No, good. I'm glad you brought it up though. So hit add a field, hit office, right? Search Keller Williams in the name. And then there's a million different Keller Williams offices. I used to have to scroll until I found our office. But after doing it so long, I kind of know what number I'm looking for. You see the numbers next to it? It's 3361. So see, I hover over it, Keller Williams Antelope Valley. There's 111 listings that Keller Williams agents in our office currently have listed for sale. So I've heard new agents give this excuse, and it drives me honestly nuts. I've even showed another agent this one time, and he still had an excuse as to how it doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't understand how it works for me. I don't understand. So what I do is I'll do that again. So I'm going to go back. Just so you guys can see that really quickly. So I hit view 111 results. So now it's pulling up all 111 listings. Right here, these are all different search filters. So like you can sort it from like, okay, I want to see the biggest lot. So now it's going to show us all the houses with the biggest lots, and it's going to categorize them that way. I go to CDOM, that's current days on market. I think that's what the C stands for, current days on market. And I go to ascending because you want to do fresh new open houses to get the most amount of traffic. And I go through and I pick, I might be like, okay, Roseman, I'm willing to go to Roseman this weekend. I'll do Palmdale. I don't want to go to California City. That's a little too far. Lancaster, I'll do. Edson, I don't like that neighborhood. Whatever the case is. And then I go through, the three I've selected are over here. And I go through and I go, okay, Edwin Avalos. I know him. I have a personal relationship with him. I'll call him. Edwin, is anybody doing an open house? I'd love to do an open house on your. Do you have signs for me? I'm a new agent. I don't have signs. And see what happens. No, I can't. I'm doing one this weekend. Sellers don't want. Okay, cool. Just keep going down the list. Pick 10 open houses. I can almost guarantee if you pick 10 properties, you'll find one. And if you don't, pick another 10 until you find one. Like, it's very simple to find an open house. And then if you don't know how to get their phone number, if you guys are, since you guys are pretty new, I think some of you guys are, if you don't know how to get their phone number, when you click on the property and you go to details, the listing agents, all their information pops up. So here's their phone number. So then I just call them or text them. Hey, Edwin, introduce yourself, build that relationship. You want to build your relationship with the top agents in this office just because everybody here is, from my experience, is so willing to share. I wouldn't be in a position to teach a class if it wasn't for the agents here in this office because they've all been so helpful and open with me. That's why that's why I've been so open with you guys, trying to give it back. But you want to have good relationships with them because they're going to give you open houses.
They also have it. Sorry,
No, no, go.
the agents also have it listed sometimes outside their office. Like they'll say open house needed. I know
Right.
that
Jennifer Courts does it
yeah,
at the end.
she has it right there, and
Right.
some other agents too. So
Yeah, no, she's absolutely right. The thing is too, is a lot of agents are looking for people to host open houses. And I think right now listing agents are a little frustrated because there isn't as many new agents hungry enough looking and asking them for open houses where they're searching for people. Right? So I think there's a big opportunity for newer agents or any agent, if you're looking to do open houses, to build those relationships so that way you can build yourself up to get first dibs on their hottest listings and do their open houses. Because when I first started the business, there was a good portion of us agents that were trying to we were all kind of feeding off of each other. So we were battling for open houses, call it oh, this person's already doing it. Oh, this person's already doing it. Now agents are looking for people to do open houses, but people aren't searching for them. So you guys don't have any excuse to not do an open house. Go out there and do it. There's also a Facebook group. If you guys aren't familiar, maybe talk to Victoria. There's a group on Facebook. It's called KWAV Agents. You can even go in there and post, hey, I'm looking for an open house this weekend. And I'm sure 10 agents will hit you up and say, hey, I have one you can host. Or sometimes agents are in there going, hey, I can't find nobody to do my open house. Who's looking for one? And you can say, hey, I'm free this weekend. But you got to go out there and you got to do them. And it's going to take time. Like I said, open houses are one of those things. If you're consistent enough and you do open houses every weekend, maybe you'll get one piece of business from it that month. And other coaches will probably tell me, oh, you need to work on your conversion ratios or whatever. It shouldn't take that long. I mean, that's going to come with time. But you have to be consistent with them and doing them. Don't do 5 of them and say they don't work. It's not going to work that way. Do open houses consistently, at least 1 a week for 3 months. And I guarantee you it'll work. And if it's not, then maybe there's something missing that, we need to take a deeper dive on.
Could you maybe go over that page, show us how to get back to the page that has the charts on it and what is that number called that tells you 1 to 4? It's the seller's market, 4 to 6 of balanced and 7 plus is of buyers. What's that number
I'm
called?
walking away. I'm getting closer to you, actually. So repeat that question for me really quick. What
Could you
page would you like me to
show
go back to?
how to get to the all those statistics that you said most people don't know about? That if it's a sell, somebody says, is it a seller's market or a buyer's market?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get that number and what is it called?
So when you first log into your do you have an MLS account yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you first log into your MLS, this is the homepage that you should see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this look familiar?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So all you do is scroll down. You scroll down on the side here, and that's where they put all these graphs for you. And there's even a way to like kind of nerd out on it and maximize them and do it from a certain time frame. I don't really know how to do that. I think it's pretty simple, but I just don't do it. I just look at what's current. But you just scroll down, and then like if you're looking for absorption rate, that's what we were talking about earlier for inventory. You just hover over the December dot, and you see it's 4.19. And you could say, okay, the high last year was in September, and it was 5.15. But it gives you the whole year rundown, and you just hover over it, and it'll tell you what the statistic was for that month. Um, does that answer your question?
It does. It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Of course. Does anybody else have any questions on Zoom? Anybody have any comments? I'm trying to see. I'm going to go back there and see because I do think there's a couple more things that came up. Okay. Juan took care of it. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, that concludes what I got for you.
Oh, sorry.
No questions. Questions welcome.
No, I was gonna say, the way I did it was I went to menu and then I just added, where it says quick search, and then you could just add a tab and just click on it. Yeah, so go to office listings and click on the star.
Yeah, that's the easier way.
Yeah.
Like office listings.
Right
I'm
there.
learning something.
Office listings on the right side. Yeah, you just start it. Oh, you have to put a star on it, and it'll just.
And it'll come up right here.
Yeah, so that way you don't have to do all that.
See? Look at, I'm learning something, right? I thought my way was the most effective. That's a lot easier.
Yeah, there's so many ways with the.
That's a lot easier. So for those of you that didn't see that earlier, how I was showing you guys how to get an open house, there's a much easier way. You hit menu, and then you hit office listings.
No, oh well, you could start it.
Okay. I'm going to show you guys that as well. So look, if you press the star, it's going to be up here on your dashboard now. So it's even easier to get.
Well, you did my listings, no office listings.
Oh.
Oh,
All right, technical difficulties, right? This mouse is very fast. So now, anytime you guys want to look for an open house, let's say you log in your MLS, this is what it looks like. I'm looking for an open house on a Thursday. I'm going to hit office listings. It's going to pull them all up. And then I'm going to sort for the days on market. Now, I will say what I'm already noticing with this, which is slightly different, is, for example, the reason I noticed is because this was my listing that I listed last year, and it's showing up because of the way I'm sorting it. The other way will only show you active ones if that's what you're looking for. I also believe I've seen some rentals and probably some land in here as well. I'm going to sort by price. That's a rental, land, rental, right? So either way works, whatever you guys want. The other way, it just shows you the active houses for sale. But like I said, either way works. This is a much quicker and easier way to get to it, honestly, that I didn't know about. So I'll probably start implementing this too as well. And then Clara, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if, rather, I think I can ask Victoria or someone in the office, but is there a way through Flex MLS to look at our statistics?
Like your own personal ones? Like
like
your own personal stats? Like your own personal?
Yes.
I don't know how to do that in the
No,
MLS.
not for my own personal, the entire office. Sometimes
Gotcha.
they tell us, and this is something that I haven't heard lately, but what our share of the sales are, the market.
Right. Market share.
For Keller Williams compared to.
I'm sure there is a way to do it on here. I'm not familiar. I would probably check with Victoria because she's the one that knows all those numbers and she can help you with that. Really quick, one last thing since we're here, we have the MLS open. I'm going to show you guys a quick, easy way. Those are my flyers. I make those. It takes me time to make them. You can get a lender that makes flyers. It's like flyers are, you can get flyers pretty easily, right? But I personally make mine because I have a certain brand and I kind of have like a uniform that I try to keep, right? With like my branding. But if you guys are new, don't know how to do that, there's a way where if you go to print, you go to any listing that you're doing and you just hit print. There's version public, and then there's an open house report. It's a flyer, or you could do a 3-column flyers, and they're just different flyers that you can take to your open house and print and easy. Like that one I don't usually use because it's boring. I think this would be the one that I would use. Yeah. So I would do the 3-column flyer if you guys are just starting out and don't have the time on a quick, easy, flyer. It's very general. It's very basic. That's why I make my own, but it's an option there. This one's the 7-photo flyer. and you kind of just go through them and play with it. This gives you a little bit more photos, which is nice. That's actually the one I think I would go with. So there's that too. But again, you guys need to focus on lead generating, partner with a lender and say, hey, I'm doing an open house here. Will you be there? Can you bring flyers? That way you don't have to focus your time, because your time is more valuable than making flyers. Just I'm trying to be picky and trying to build a brand, which is, if you guys want to, is great, but it's not necessary. So it's totally up to you guys.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got for you.
All right.
You're welcome. Uh-huh.
So that we can survey?
Nice to meet you. Yes. Oh, I'll put on the QR code. Clara wants to give me a survey. Probably 0 stars, but I'll take it. All feedback is good feedback. Nice meeting you, brother.
Nice to meet you.
And then also, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to call me. Feel free to text me. My number's on the flyer. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. For sure, man. Good luck. What's up, Star? Good. How are you?
I don't know how I'm doing with the charges.
Oh, man. Heart broke. Heart broke, but it's okay.
Good job.
Thanks, man.
Good job. I was literally watching the whole thing. I was like, my boy got into the MLS. All right, you guys got a freebie here.